Chapter 1480. In just a breath's time, almost everyone took out their Dharma treasures and attacked. Although the barrier of the Tao runes outside the gray planet was weak, it could not be broken in a few breaths' time. Moreover, there were only a few people in the first wave of attacks. I know he's Ning Cheng. I've seen him in the beyond of heaven and earth back then. Someone immediately shouted. Tao Lord Ning? Although some people had never seen Ning Cheng, they had heard of his reputation in heavens beyond. The Dharma treasures in their hands paused. They hesitated about whether they should participate in the attack or not. Ning Cheng's reputation was too great. Although he was seriously injured, he was obviously not dead. Once they offended Tao Lord Ning, Ning Cheng would be able to escape this calamity in the future. There was only one consequence, and that was death. Not to mention before, even in the chaotic inner world, how could it be easy for Ning Cheng to snatch a strand of primordial Tao charm? They had heard that those who snatched the primordial Tao runes in the chaotic inner realm were top-notch people like the 10 great Tao lords and the 5 great sacred masters. He's Ning Cheng? Kai Ji recovered from her shock and looked at the blood-stained half of the planet. She was even more shocked. He kept refining and integrating the primordial Tao runes, which then turned into vitality and essence blood. The aura of the Tao runes was too strong and violent, so he couldn't refine it all at once. As a result, it tore open a wound on his body and spurted out the vitality that had been transformed into essence blood again. Ling Xiaoshuang, like many people, could see Ning Cheng's situation at a glance. Boom! The cultivators who were hesitant about Ning Cheng's reputation only hesitated for a moment before they once again took out their Dharma treasures and attacked. No matter how famous Ning Cheng was, he was about to die. What was there to be afraid of? The defense of the Tao runes on the gray planet was weak. Now that so many experts attacked at the same time, this simple defense of the Tao runes was easily shattered. Hundreds of experts swarmed forward, and Lan Shu was ahead of everyone else. Shu! An incomparably surprised voice called out from the crowd, but Lan Shu at this time wholeheartedly wanted to take away Ning Cheng. As such, she simply did not care about the people around her. Although Lan Shu was strong, but her cultivation was not the strongest in this place. There were at least several third-step existences who had condensed a false realm. When they saw Lan Shu rushing to the forefront, they simultaneously acted as if by prior agreement. Although they did not use their full strength, but with several people attacking Lan Shu, even if they could not take Lan Shu's life, it was more than enough to bind Lan Shu. Lan Shu wholeheartedly wanted to save Ning Cheng. As such, even though she managed to block most of the attacks, they still landed on her body. When she opened her mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood, she had already fallen behind. Boom! Several more attacks followed, and the defensive realm domain in front of Ning Cheng once again shattered under the bombardment. Several people rushed towards Ning Cheng and even raised their hands to grab him. At this time, the people who wanted to capture Ning Cheng all had the same idea, that was to capture Ning Cheng, and then escape first. Ning Cheng slowly opened his eyes with extreme difficulty. Even if he was completely exhausted, he could still sense his realm boundary being blasted open. Seeing several powerhouses rushing over, Ning Cheng showed a trace of self-deprecation at the corner of his mouth. He then raised his hand and drew out several ripples of Tao charm. If he had not been injured, these powerhouses would have been ants in his eyes, existences that he could pinch to death with just a raise of his hand. But now, he drew out several ripples of Tao charm to attack, which almost drained his vitality. Puff! Several blood mists sprayed out. Ning Cheng's attack directly tore apart the defenses of these powerhouses who rushed towards Ning Cheng, causing them to suffer some minor injuries. When the people who followed behind saw that Ning Cheng could still make a move, they immediately stopped in their tracks. Ning Cheng's prestige in the heavens beyond was too great. Since Ning Cheng could not resist, everyone wanted to go up and snatch him. Once Ning Cheng had the ability to resist, they would have to wait for others to attack Ning Cheng before going up to reap the benefits. Who among those who could cultivate to this level was not a shrewd person? For a time, no one rushed over. When Lan Shu rushed up again, she rushed to the first place. This time no one stopped Lan Shu. All the people were looking forward to Lan Shu taking the lead, As such, Lan Shu easily rushed to the front of the group. Lan Shu did not care about what the cultivators around her thought. She was so anxious that she almost went crazy. A cultivator's blood had almost stained half of such a majestic planet. How terrifying was that? Even if one could survive after that, his foundation would be damaged. Ning Cheng reluctantly opened his eyes again. He slowly raised his hand. Even if he had the last bit of strength left, he would not give up without a fight. Ning Cheng, your elder sister Shu is late. Elder sister Shu must save you. Lan Shu came closer and was able to clearly see Ning Cheng's badly mutilated body as she spoke in a choked voice. Elder sister Shu, am I dead? Ning Cheng muttered to himself in a daze. His consciousness gradually went blank. Seeing Lan Shu appear, if he was not dead, then what was he? How could Lan Shu appear in this place? Ning Cheng's mouth revealed a sad smile. Before he died, the person he saw was not Lufei, Qianghua, or Yanji, but Lan Shu. Then his head tilted to the side, and he no longer moved. Lan Shu felt shocked in her heart. She raised her hands and picked up Ning Cheng. At the same time, she shot out several restrictions to imprison the primordial Dao charms surrounding Ning Cheng. She then turned around and walked away. The primordial Dao charms surrounding Ning Cheng had been around Ning Cheng for tens of thousands of years. However, the violence within it had already been worn away, and Lan Shu even managed to imprison it. The surrounding cultivators were stunned. It was not until Lan Shu rushed away with Ning Cheng in her arms that they reacted. They immediately rushed towards Lan Shu, wanting to intercept Lan Shu. At this time, even the weakest cultivators could see that Ning Cheng did not have any strength to resist. Lan Shu had taken advantage of him. At this moment, Lan Shu simply ignored the attacks coming from behind her and used all her strength to escape. As soon as Ning Cheng left, the endless origin aura also disappeared. Everyone had been struggling for a long time to obtain the origin aura from the primal chaos opening. At this time, no one was willing to give up. Almost everyone chased after Lan Shu. A youth with a slightly pale face looked at the place where Lan Shu disappeared. He remained sluggish for a while before following closely behind her. There were also a few cultivators who seemed to know that their strength was too low and didn't chase after them. They stayed behind to refine the Dao charm from Ning Cheng's blood that dyed the gray planet red. But after a while, they were disappointed. No one could seize even a little bit of this Dao charm. Perhaps there was another way to do this, and that was if they also fused with a part of the primordial Dao charm. But what was the primordial Dao charm? If one had the primordial Dao charm, who would be willing to come to this place? After understanding this, the few cultivators who stayed behind also chased after them. If they chased after them, they might have a chance to obtain the origin aura. If they didn't chase after them, then there would be no hope at all. Lan Shu took the first step. There were almost no laws in this part of the void. Even people stronger than Lan Shu couldn't catch up with Lan Shu in a short time. Similarly, those with weaker cultivations than Lan Shu didn't fall behind by much. It's just that Lan Shu's cultivation was limited. She couldn't get rid of all the people behind her in a short time. In this way, one person escaped in front, while nearly 100 people chased after her. After a few days, because Lan Shu had never escaped beyond the range of control, no one gave up chasing after her. Even Ling Xiaoshuang and Kai Ji were far behind them. But at this time, Lan Shu felt that something was wrong. The primordial Dao charm surrounding Ning Cheng seemed to have seeped into her Dao charm. At this time, she was running away and couldn't deal with it at all. Lan Shu felt extremely anxious. Just when she was about to burn her essence blood to escape, she suddenly felt that Ning Cheng, who was lying in her arms, seemed to have started to fuse and refine the primordial Dao charm. At this time, because the primordial origin Dao charm continued to seep into her body, Ning Cheng no longer spat out essence blood due to the primordial Dao charm. Lan Shu felt happy and no longer had any thoughts of pushing out the primordial Dao charm. If she could help Ning Cheng relieve the pressure, she would naturally help Ning Cheng. Another half a month passed, and Lan Shu unexpectedly felt the primordial Dao charm permeating into her Dao charm. It even started to cleanse her own Dao charm aura. Moreover, Her cultivation and perception also continued to rise under this cleansing. Am I going to refine and fuse with the primordial Tao charm? Lan Shu felt shocked and quickly looked down at Ning Cheng. Although Ning Cheng's body was still covered in blood, it had clearly started to improve. Lan Shu gave out a slight sigh of relief. At this moment, her Tao and sea of consciousness simultaneously gave out a ka sound. The next moment, she caught hold of the endless Tao charm. The endless origin Tao charm started to fuse with the primordial Tao charm. A vast and blurry boundary appeared within Lan Shu's consciousness. At this moment, Lan Shu felt as if she could see the beginning of the primal chaos breaking apart, as if she could see the formation of the universe. Lan Shu's entire body shook. Was she about to step into the third step? Creating a world? After a moment, Lan Shu felt sure that she was indeed about to create a world. But now, she was still holding on to Ning Cheng and running away. Although she knew some things about the third step, creating a world, she had never heard of creating a world in such a situation. Boom! Lan Shu's entire sea of consciousness gave out bursts of roars. Her Tao sense started to revolve around her, and a vague universe boundary appeared within her consciousness. Her Tao charm started to condense the laws within this universe boundary. At the same time, this universe boundary also started to give birth to more heaven and earth aura because of the gradually condensing laws. Primordial chaos cleanses dust, grand Tao transforms into a grand world. So this is my Tao, Lan Shu muttered to herself. The primordial chaos Tao charm cleansed her original grand Tao and created a brand new world. The primordial chaos Tao charm that surrounded her body grew even more distinct, and her world also grew even clearer. Lan Shu took in a deep breath. Her world had not yet been perfected, but she had an inexplicable confidence that her third step was much more powerful than those world creation powerhouses chasing after her. Something's not right. Just when Lan Shu wanted to speed up and get rid of the pursuers, she suddenly felt Ning Cheng's aura fluctuations. Chapter 1481. She was shocked to find that the primordial Tao runes that Ning Cheng had refined had turned into an endless torrent of Tao runes that flowed into Ning Cheng's body. However, Ning Cheng did not suffer any serious injuries or backlash. Lan Shu was ecstatic. Did this mean that Ning Cheng could fully integrate the primordial Tao runes? Because of this, Lan Shu started to worry after the pleasant surprise. She had stepped into the creation realm with the help of Ning Cheng's primordial Tao runes. In fact, she hadn't even obtained a billionth of the Tao rune origin. The primordial Tao runes that weren't even a billionth had cleansed her Tao and helped her step into the creation realm. She could imagine what would happen to Ning Cheng if he absorbed a complete primordial Tao rune. In such a situation, Ning Cheng might even end up bursting from the inside out. Ning Cheng's blood staining half of the planet was a good example. Even though nothing had happened to Ning Cheng, she still felt worried. Lan Shu's escape technique suddenly improved, and in a few breaths, she left the hundreds of cultivators behind. No one chased after her. Someone in the crowd clenched his fists and said hatefully, "This woman is too hateful. She could have gotten rid of us a long time ago, but she deliberately led us to chase her for so long. No, this woman must have taken advantage of the primordial Tao runes and reached the third step," someone immediately explained. "This woman is really lucky to have obtained such a shocking fortune. There will be another powerhouse in front of the creation realm." No one refuted this statement, as it was the most realistic and the easiest to explain. At the same time, no one refuted the fact that Lan Shu was about to become a powerhouse. Since Lan Shu had obtained Ning Cheng's things, it would be impossible for her not to become a powerhouse. Not to mention that they couldn't catch up with that woman now. Even if they caught up with her, it would be useless. She used the primordial Tao runes to reach the third step. With such an opportunity, who would dare to go to a pseudo-realm? That would be courting death. Perhaps that woman hadn't stabilized her third step yet, but with her profound opportunity, stabilizing her third step would be a piece of cake. Instead of chasing after her and offending her, it would be better to return to the chaotic inner realm to find some opportunities. As the first person turned around, everyone turned around and left. "Kai Ji, what do you think?" Ling Xiaoshuang asked Kai Ji. Kaiji nodded. I have to say that the gray-robed woman obtained a great opportunity. That Ning Cheng also deserves this fate. He actually sat in this space for tens of thousands of years. Not only did he not recover, he even suffered a backlash from the primordial Dao aura, causing such a heavy injury. Ling Xiaoshuang shook her head. I think it's weird. That woman seems to know Ning Cheng, so she could get close to him. Otherwise, that woman would have suffered a severe backlash from Ning Cheng before she died. Forget it. Let's go. After all, our luck is lacking. Kaiji sighed. Although it was true that she sympathized with Ning Cheng, it didn't mean that she didn't have any thoughts about the primal chaos origin. Lan Shu brought Ning Cheng along with her for a full month, before she once again felt that something was wrong. The primordial mist Dao charm surrounding Ning Cheng was about to completely merge with Ning Cheng. At the same time, Ning Cheng also absorbed some of the primordial mist aura condensed on the scabs covering Ning Cheng's body. The impurities adhering to the surface of Ning Cheng's body fell off, revealing his strong muscles. At first, Lan Shu couldn't get used to it. But when the grand mist aura dissipated, Ning Cheng unconsciously tore off her clothes and fused with the remnant grand mist Dao charm aura in her body. Lan Shu immediately felt that something was wrong. If this continued, she would become the next Ning Cheng. How much primordial mist Dao charm did she use to reach the third step? Even if Ning Cheng swallowed her, it wouldn't stop Ning Cheng's perception and absorption of the grand mist Dao. What should she do? She couldn't produce a single primordial mist Dao charm for Ning Cheng. Right, that planet. Lan Shu immediately thought of the planet where Ning Cheng had cultivated before. Ning Cheng had sat on that uninhabited gray planet for tens of thousands of years, and the Dao charm blood flowing from Ning Cheng's body had almost dyed the planet red. Now that Ning Cheng could even absorb the scab's Dao charm attached to his body, he could definitely absorb the primordial mist aura on that planet. Thinking of this, Lan Shu turned around and rushed back again. Back then, hundreds of people had chased after her. After failing to catch up to her, many of them would have definitely fled. She had used some primordial mist Dao charm to cleanse her grand Dao and reach the third step. Even if there were a few cultivators left behind, they wouldn't be her opponents. After escaping for more than a month, Lan Shu spent another half a month before returning to the gray planet. Seeing the half-gray and half-dark red-colored planet in the distance, Lan Shu finally felt relieved in her heart. The primordial mist Dao charm surrounding Ning Cheng had long since been swept away by him. If she couldn't find this gray planet, Ning Cheng would crazily sweep away the Dao charm from her body, and her cultivation would fall once again. In the end, it wasn't impossible for her to fall. If her cultivation fell, it wouldn't matter. But if Ning Cheng didn't wake up and fell into the hands of others, it would only lead to death. Lan Shu took a step forward and landed on the dark red half of the planet. She breathed a sigh of relief in her heart and placed Ning Cheng in the place where he used to cultivate. After putting Ning Cheng down, the endless Dao charm from the dark red planet swept towards Ning Cheng like a raging wave. It then turned into a grand Dao aura and seeped into Ning Cheng's body. Lan Shu's hand hadn't left Ning Cheng's back yet. She could clearly feel Ning Cheng's Dao charm growing crazily, and his strength also increasing crazily. Lan Shu felt slightly relieved and found that she was sitting next to Ning Cheng. Because her clothes were torn, her skin was sticking to Ning Cheng's. Her face turned slightly red. Although she didn't think of anything else, it still wasn't right. In her heart, Ning Cheng was the boy next door, and in Ning Cheng's heart, she was elder sister Shu. Just when Lan Shu wanted to stand up and change her clothes, and then help Ning Cheng to protect him, a kind of vigilance suddenly rose up in her heart. The next moment, a gray figure appeared not far from Lan Shu and Ning Cheng. He looked at Ning Cheng and Lan Shu, who was sitting next to Ning Cheng, without any expression. Lan Shu felt angry in her heart. She raised her hand and grabbed a robe to cover her body. She then took out another robe to help Ning Cheng put it on before standing up. "Who is your excellency? Don't you feel ashamed to pry into other people's privacy?" Lan Shu spoke in a cold tone. Although she felt angry in her heart, she didn't do anything. She could see that the person in front of her was also a creation realm powerhouse. However, she wasn't afraid. She had just stepped into the creation realm and had confidence in herself. The gray-robed man remained silent for a long time before speaking with a hoarse voice. "I'm just passing by. But you're here with outsiders, don't you feel ashamed?" Lan Shu gave a cold snort. With a wave of her hand, the Yuan slaughter sword fell into her hands. "What outsiders? What I and my Dao companion do. What does it have to do with you? If you don't fuck off, then don't blame me for making a move." While speaking, Lan Shu also swept out with her spiritual consciousness. She was worried that this gray-robed man was not the only one here. If this gray-robed man was not alone, then once she and this gray-robed man started fighting, then someone would take advantage of the situation to attack Ning Cheng. Yuan's slaughter sword. The gray-robed man's gaze fell on the white sword in Lan Shu's hands, and spoke out in shock. Lan Shu did not speak. She stood in front of Ning Cheng and stared at this gray-robed man with vigilance. At the same time, she also used her spiritual consciousness to carefully observe the situation around them. After a long time, the gray-robed man took a deep breath and spoke, "Shu." Lan Shu, who was still paying attention to the situation around them, felt as if she was struck by lightning. She stared at the gray-robed man in front of her and spoke one word at a time. "Who the hell are you? How do you know my name?" While speaking, Lan Shu's heart was in turmoil. In this part of the void universe, other than Nailan Rushue and Ning Cheng, who else would know her name? How could this strange gray-robed man know her? The gray-robed man sighed, as he lifted his hand and tore off the mask covering his face. Ding! The Yuan slaughter sword in Lan Shu's hand fell to the ground. Her whole body was nailed to the ground. After a long time, she called out in a trembling voice, "Is it really you?" One could fake one's appearance, but how could she forget Lan Yuchen? "It's me." Lan Yuchen spoke with difficulty. Lan Shu's entire body trembled. "Since you did not fall, why did you cultivate to the creation realm? Why didn't you come back to find me?" The gray-robed man's face suddenly twisted. At this moment, a tearing voice screamed in his consciousness, "Hurry up, this is the best time. As long as we kill this woman, we can obtain the supreme primordial Dao charm." "No!" The gray-robed man suddenly cried out. Lan Shu suddenly woke up, as her trembling body gradually calmed down. However, she did not pick up the Yuan slaughter sword on the ground. Instead, she stared at the person in front of her who she had been thinking about day and night. "The opportunity was missed, idiot. Why did I choose to cooperate with an idiot like you?" The gray-robed man's voice was filled with dissatisfaction. Lan Shu quietly looked at the gray-robed man, as if waiting for an explanation. After a long time, the gray-robed man spoke up with difficulty, "Shu. The Angry Axe Valley is actually an axe valley created by the good fortune indestructible axe's remnant blade. I obtained that remnant blade in the Angry Axe Valley. Afterwards, I obtained some cultivation methods, and then went into seclusion to forget the passage of time. When I finally sobered up, you had already left the Yixing mainland." What he said in front was true, but what he said in the back was completely false. The Angry Axe Valley was indeed a valley created by the good fortune indestructible axe's remnant blade. Moreover, Lan Yuchen had indeed obtained a part of the good fortune indestructible axe's remnant blade, and even obtained some of the good fortune cultivation methods from the remnant blade. But the problem was, when Lan Yuchen obtained the good fortune indestructible axe's remnant blade, this remnant blade already contained a powerful ancient remnant soul. This remnant soul, under a half-threat and half-promise situation, reached an agreement with Lan Yuchen. That is, he would help Lan Yuchen set foot on the strongest Dao path, and Lan Yuchen would take him away from Yixing to find the best materials to repair his corporeal body. As for the Angry Axe Valley's Lan Yuchen's fall, it was just an illusion of someone else's remains. Originally, there was nothing wrong with this agreement. Lan Yuchen, with the help of that remnant soul, was able to set foot on the road to becoming a powerhouse step by step. Moreover, with the help of Lan Yuchen, the remnant soul was also becoming more and more solid, and now it was almost only lacking a top-quality body sculpting treasure. The two of them did not think that at this time, the remnant soul in the indestructible axe's remnant blade would suddenly receive the summons of the indestructible axe and immediately broke through the void. Without a place to live, the remnant soul was in a hurry and could only temporarily reside in Lan Yuchen's sea of consciousness. Because Lan Yuchen's cultivation methods were guided by this remnant soul, as such Lan Yuchen simply had no way to expel this remnant soul. The remnant soul also had no way to deal with Lan Yuchen, as such the two people muddled along until today. Chapter 1482. Lan Shu's eyes gradually softened. She believed in Lan Yuchen's words, and did not even think about how Ning Cheng obtained Lan Yuchen's relics. After I entered the starry sky, I searched everywhere for you. All these years, I've been to countless planets and passed through countless realms, but I've never heard any news about you. When I heard that the Chaos Inner Realm had been opened, I wanted to try my luck. That's why I came here. I really didn't expect that you would be able to cultivate to this level and appear in the chaotic inner realm. The heavens took pity on me. I finally found you. Lan Yuchen saw Lan Shu's eyes soften and quickly continued. Lan Shu choked with sobs and was completely unable to speak, or perhaps at this moment she did not know what she should say. Lan Yuchen suddenly looked at Ning Cheng sitting on the ground and asked, "Shu, who is this person?" Lan Shu's heart tightened, as the tender feelings that filled her heart were immediately suppressed, as she quickly waved her hand and spoke. "Yuchen, you do not misunderstand, this is Ning Cheng, he has saved my life. This time, I only obtained some opportunities in order to save him. Hurry up, kid, hurry up. As long as you capture that kid and leave, all the opportunities will be yours." The voice in Lan Yuchen's sea of consciousness kept encouraging him. As if sensing Lan Yuchen's hesitation, the voice became even more shrill. "What are you hesitating for? Your words are full of loopholes. If this woman calms down a little, she will be able to figure it out. Once she thinks of the loophole in your words, she'll be on her guard, and you won't have such a good opportunity anymore." Lan Yuchen opened his mouth. He was somewhat reluctant to part with Lan Shu. "Idiot, after you obtain a great opportunity like the primordial Taoist aura, you'll have all kinds of women. Why would you want a broken shoe like this? This woman just said that she and Ning Cheng are Tao companions. You have seen that kind of intimacy with your own eyes. The two of them have already been mixed together for a long time." The voice in Lan Yuchen's sea of consciousness continued to bewitch her. "Yuchen." Lan Shu quickly noticed the slight change in Lan Yuchen and took a step forward. She was so excited that she wanted to grab Lan Yuchen's hand. Lan Yuchen smiled happily. "It's nothing. I didn't expect it to be like this. I've never misunderstood you. If there's one person I can trust in this world, it's you. You're still the same, always putting the kindness of others first. You don't have to worry now. I'll protect him with you. And this won't do." Lan Shu subconsciously stopped. Just when she was about to ask about it, Lan Yuchen spoke up. "Brother Ning, absorbing the Tao charm in this place would create too much of a commotion. Let me help you arrange an isolation grand array to prevent others from finding this place." Lan Shu recovered. That's right, if Yuchen could come here, then naturally other people could also come here. Although she had 1,000 things to say to Yuchen, now was not the time. Ning Cheng was currently crazily sweeping away the remnant primordial Tao charm left on this gray planet. "I will arrange the grand array, you just have to protect Ning City." Lan Shu quickly took out an array flag. "Well, I can also help you a little." While speaking, Lan Yuchen had already arrived at Ning Cheng's side. Lan Shu was not aware of it at all. When she threw out the first array flag, Lan Yuchen suddenly condensed out a huge handprint, as she grabbed Ning Cheng and took a step into the void. As soon as Lan Yuchen moved, Lan Shu immediately became aware of it. She did not know what to do for a moment, but then she came to a complete understanding. The joy in her eyes and the suppressed excitement turned into sadness. She couldn't recall even a single word from before. Lan Yuchen obviously came here to snatch the primordial Tao charm, not to look for her. Lan Yuchen did not care about it, as she took a step into the void and shot out several white lights towards Lan Shu. The existence in his sea of consciousness had warned him more than once that Lan Shu was stronger than him. Lan Shu also reacted and rushed over in a crazy manner. She knew very well that once Lan Yuchen snatched Ning Cheng away, then Ning Cheng would have to face an incomparably miserable fate. Kid, we're rich. This fellow's mysterious yellow origin aura points directly to the mysterious yellow bead. In other words, the good fortune mysterious yellow bead is on him. The voice in Lan Yuchen's sea of consciousness turned even sharper. Boom. Just as Lan Yuchen took Ning Cheng away, the remnant primordial Dao charm that Ning Cheng had just absorbed from the gray planet suddenly exploded. Lan Yuchen, who was pleasantly surprised by the mysterious yellow bead, did not expect such a violent Dao charm. The berserk Dao charm aura exploded, and Lan Yuchen's handprint that was wrapped around Ning Cheng loosened. Almost at the same time, Lan Shu's Yuan slaughtering sword slashed over. Lan Yuchen, in a hurry, could only dodge a little. Lan Shu immediately picked up Ning Cheng and sent him back to his original sitting position. As soon as Ning Cheng landed on the planet's rock, the blood Dao charm of the entire gray planet rushed over like a river bursting through a dam. Lan Shu did not continue to attack Lan Yuchen, but her eyes showed a deathly gray color. If she could, she would rather not see Lan Yuchen for the rest of her life. She wanted Lan Yuchen to become the most beautiful scenery in her heart. If she could, she would rather never be saved by Ning Cheng. She did not want Lan Yuchen to see her and Ning Cheng together. Was the Grand Dao really ruthless? Did the Grand Dao really want to forget everything? The expectations she once had now looked ridiculous. The things that once supported her were now like fireworks. They looked beautiful, but in fact, they were nothing. Idiot, if it weren't for you still thinking about that woman, how could that kind of Dao charm explode open your handprint? The voice in Lan Yuchen's sea of consciousness screamed even more unscrupulously. Lan Yuchen's face turned cold, and she sent out a thought. If you dare to be long-winded again, we will break up. The voice seemed to be extremely afraid of Lan Yuchen's broken jar, and could only shut up. Shu, I was worried that you wouldn't understand my approach, so I decided to do it first before telling you. As long as we can obtain the primordial Dao charm, we can ascend the supreme Dao path in the future. In the future, when the good fortune opens, you and I will also have a share. Lan Yuchen's tone turned gentle. The emptiness in Lan Shu's eyes gradually turned dark, and her face no longer had the excitement and joy from before. She just asked in a hoarse voice, why? Shu, you also walked the path of the Grand Dao. Who can achieve perfection? This person saved you, but you also saved him. At that time, we will just take away the primordial Dao charm and save his life. At that time, we will never separate and roam the vast good fortune universe, overlooking all the living beings in the primal chaos. Lan Yuchen's voice was low, and she continued to speak with emotion. Lan Shu's hands finally trembled, and the last trace of expectation in her eyes also disappeared. You can go, just pretend that I never saw you. You have your Dao path and I also have my Dao path. Ungrateful, how different are you from beasts? Yu Chen has already fallen, and you are no longer the Yu Chen of the past. Don't call me Shu in the future. Lan Yuchen's eyes flashed with a trace of struggle. Even without Lan Shu's words, he knew that he had changed. At that time, when he left with that remnant soul, it might have been because he was bewitched. But later, when he struggled to survive in the vast starry sky, he deeply understood the truth that strength was the most important. No matter what you did, it didn't matter. Your final strength was the most important thing. Miao Shu, do you really want to be so heartless? You messed around with other men. Did I say even half a word about you? I just wanted to take away a primordial Dao charm, yet you defended Ning Cheng like this. Have you ever thought about the kindness between you and me? Once you spread your legs and found a new lover, you forgot about the past. Lan Shu's face turned red with anger. Even with her strength in the creation world realm, she couldn't help but tremble. There was nothing between her and Ning Cheng, but Lan Yuchen's words were too hurtful. Was this still the same Lan Yuchen who held her in her hands, afraid that she would fall to the ground? Was this still the same Lan Yuchen who did not care about the family, just to protect her? Lan Shu did not argue anymore. Her heart had already died at this moment. Slowly turning around, Lan Shu raised her hand and shot out dozens of array flags, and began to arrange a defensive grand array. She completely understood that Lan Yuchen's previous words were all lies. If Lan Yuchen had really gone to find her, then it was impossible for him not to know that she had changed her name to Lan Shu. Compared to the series of lies that Lan Yuchen had told before, Lan Yuchen's words just now made her heart turn to ashes. The person who had waited for so many years had actually treated her like this. You're not her opponent. Crazy women are the most terrifying. If you still want the primordial Tao charm and the mysterious yellow bead, then leave now, and then find someone to join forces with to deal with this woman. The spiritual soul within Lan Yuchen's sea of consciousness also calmed down at this moment. Since she could not snatch it at first, then she had to slowly think of countermeasures. Chapter 1483. Lan Yuchen had just left when the aura on the gray planet suddenly turned violent. The defensive array arranged by Lan Shu, in just a twinkling of an eye, turned into nothingness. Lan Shu was incomparably shocked, and was just about to go up and check out the situation. An even more majestic Tao charm aura surged out, and the redness that dyed half of the planet looked as if a thin film had been lifted. Then, the surging Tao aura rushed towards Ningcheng. Outside of that billowing majestic aura, Lan Shu was directly blocked, and was simply unable to enter. Lan Shu was shocked in her heart. She found that she was helpless. In the face of this kind of situation, she simply did not know what to do. Even with her strength at the creation realm, she was unable to charge into the majestic Tao rhyme. At this moment, she had no other choice but to watch from the sidelines. Lan Shu sighed. She could only resign herself to fate. In just the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, Lan Shu was surprised to find that the aura around Ningcheng's body was becoming more and more powerful. A kind of vastness that transcended the entire universe surrounded Ningcheng's body. If she was facing an ancient treasure land, Lan Shu could still understand this kind of aura. Now that this kind of vast and powerful majestic aura appeared on Ningcheng's body, Lan Shu simply could not understand what was going on. Although Lan Shu had stepped into the creation realm, it was because of the amazing opportunities that she had. As such, her knowledge and experience were not as good as those powerhouses who spent most of their time in the vast void. But now that Ningcheng was surrounded by such a majestic, imposing aura, Lan Shu could also guess that Ningcheng's strength was constantly rising. Lan Shu had not guessed wrong. Ningcheng's strength was indeed constantly rising. The other world began to gradually improve. After tens of thousands of years of accumulation, it almost instantly became a chaotic universe. Ningcheng caught the endless primordial Tao charm, and Ningcheng's consciousness gradually sobered up. He even saw the terrifying power within the primordial Tao charm and the supreme origin within the primordial Tao charm. However, he also saw a trace of aura within the primordial Tao runes. This trace of aura didn't belong to the primordial Tao runes. Perhaps it belonged to another trace of Tao runes from when the primordial chaos was first formed. It was just attached to the primordial Tao runes. Even so, Ningcheng did not hesitate to cut off this trace of aura. He could take away all of the primordial world origin, all of the primordial chaos. He would not accept any Tao rune aura that he did not know of. The surging Tao charm didn't change Ningcheng's own great Tao. Instead, it continuously solidified Ningcheng's great Tao laws and perfected Ningcheng's spirit technique laws. Ice-sealed space, starry sky wheel, none to depend on, sunset's twilight, order-breaking finger, traceless space collapse, 7 bridges. As Ning City's great Tao solidified and the laws of the world were perfected, they were also constantly being perfected. At this moment, an explosive Tao charm rumbled in the depths of Ningcheng's consciousness. Ningcheng closed his eyes, and endless insights circulated around his Tao sense. Ningcheng had a clear understanding in his heart that he was about to merge his boundary. At this moment, he finally understood what it meant to merge worlds. After the creation realm, he thought that he wouldn't suffer from Deva blight because he cultivated the creation realm cultivation technique. When he stepped into the creation realm and used his Tao runes to condense laws to create a universe, he finally encountered the first blight, the convergence blight. A fusing realm's decline had weakened him for tens of thousands of years, and his blood essence had almost dyed an entire planet red. In the end, it was all thanks to Lan Shu that they managed to survive the fading world. The primordial Tao aura was born from the heavens. It was indeed a supreme treasure. Without the primordial Tao aura, he could have stepped into the fusing realm, but he would never have faced such a tragic fusing realm's decline. Without the fusing realm's decline, he couldn't feel the Tao intent of the samsara of life and death. He couldn't feel the aura of swallowing a planet and controlling the vast void with a wave of his hand. The moment he crossed the fusing realm's decline, Ning Cheng felt that he had grasped something vital to him. It was his destiny. Fusing realm's decline could merge one's body with the world, or merge one's Tao with the world. Fusing one's body with the world was the strongest, but Ning Cheng had resolutely abandoned it. His Tao intent was that as long as I'm here, the Tao is here. He wanted to merge the realms, which meant that his Tao and realms would merge. As long as he was here, both the Tao and the world would exist. His world would be filled with his great Tao and his laws. Although he had been in the midst of fusing with the primordial Tao, it didn't mean that he didn't know what happened between Lan Shu and Lan Yuchen. Because he knew these things, he changed his mind about merging his body with the world. With Lan Yuchen's temperament, even if she cultivated to the creation realm, what could she do? He had also lost the most precious thing in his life. No matter at any time, no matter under any temptation. His body had to be unique. Even if he merged with the world, he couldn't use his body to merge with it. After merging his body with the world, his body would still exist. But since he merged with the world, who knew if it would affect his Tao intent and emotions? Cultivating the Tao, a great Tao without emotions, was not what Ning Cheng needed at all. In addition to the great Tao, he also needed relatives, lovers, friends, and temperament. Boom boom boom. When Ning Cheng's Tao intent of merging with the world appeared, whether it was Ning Cheng's body or Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness, bursts of horrifying Tao charm roars erupted. The billowing Tao charm felt like boiling oil between heaven and earth. It stretched out endlessly in this part of the void, containing infinite power. At this moment, more than a dozen experts, attracted by this scene, also waited in shock from afar, not daring to take even half a step forward. A clear sound that seemed to come from outside the universe echoed endlessly in this part of the void. All the cultivators on the sidelines subconsciously looked up at the void in the distance, their eyes filled with shock. This part of the void, which originally had no laws, slowly gave birth to laws at this moment. At the same time, a trace of vitality slowly appeared in this lifeless place. Even the god's spiritual chi was slowly appearing in the endless void. Finally, some smart cultivators came to their senses and quickly knelt down in front of Ning Cheng's planet. At the same time, they congratulated him. Congratulations to Tao monarch Ning Cheng for successfully merging with the world. With the first one, the second one naturally followed. A Tao monarch in the realm of merging with the world laws in the endless void, just how terrifying was he? Perhaps even more powerful than the 10 Tao monarchs and the 5 sacred masters. Who would dare to disrespect such a Tao charm? In the face of such a Tao monarch's disrespect, perhaps the other party could pinch you to death with a single hand seal in the void. As these voices spread out, the roars of Ning Cheng's planet grew even more majestic. The space around Ning Cheng even condensed into substance. Boom! An explosion that almost shook the entire void suddenly rang out, and countless broken meteorites shot out from the void. Everyone looked at the place where Ning Cheng was in horror. The huge gray planet couldn't withstand Ning Cheng's Tao charm at this moment and exploded into pieces. The moment the gray planet exploded, everyone saw it clearly. Within the endless Tao charm, Ning Cheng stood in the void, and the clothes on Ning Cheng's upper body had long since disappeared. Ning Cheng, with his upper body bare, stood in the void like a heavenly deity. His monstrous aura suppressed the surroundings, and everyone's heart trembled. Almost everyone who could come here had seen a Tao monarch in the realm of merging with the world. However, no one had ever seen a Tao monarch as powerful as Ning Cheng. He didn't deliberately release his aura, but that monstrous aura made it hard for people to breathe. What kind of powerhouse was this? As the Dao charm around Ningqing gradually stabilized, the majestic aura gradually dissipated, and Ningqing slowly returned to normal. Lan Shu flew forward in surprise. Ningqing, you've merged with the world? She was a creation realm powerhouse, and she had created her realm with the help of Ningqing's primordial chaos Dao charm. Lan Shu knew very well that her third step was far inferior to Ningqing's. Ningqing took a step forward, and a set of clothes automatically appeared on his body. Sister Shu, I'm sorry. I implicated you this time. When Ningqing fused and refined the primordial Dao charm, he clearly understood what happened between Lan Shu and Lan Yuchen. Lan Shu shook her head. This has nothing to do with you. If it weren't for you, I would still be living in a fantasy. Lan Shu's words suddenly stopped, and her eyes looked at the two people coming from afar. One of them was Lan Yuchen, who had left before Ningqing's realm closed. Seeing Lan Yuchen bring people over, Lan Shu's mouth showed a trace of self-deprecation. This was the person she missed day and night. Huh, the realm closed successfully? The one who spoke was a black-robed man next to Lan Yuchen. When he saw Ningqing, he spoke in surprise but didn't show much of a strange expression. Ningqing spoke with a calm voice. I was wondering who it was. It turned out to be an old friend. Although he didn't see Dao Monarch Darkness when he traded with him, he knew that the person who came was Dao Monarch Darkness. Lan Yuchen was quite good at finding people, and she even found Dao Monarch Darkness. Dao Monarch Darkness apparently also recognized Ningqing and smiled. You got quite the opportunity. Not only did you obtain the primordial Dao charm, but you also succeeded in merging with the world. You keep getting good things, and even I'm jealous. Chapter 1484. With Ningqing's current state, he could see Dao Lord Darkness's power at a glance. He was certain that Dao Lord Darkness's cultivation had completely recovered. Not only that, but it had even improved. In Ningqing's opinion, Dao Lord Darkness shouldn't be any weaker than Star Dao Lord and Five-Color Dao Lord. His cultivation was even higher than his, reaching the peak of Unity Realm. For Ningqing, this level of cultivation was nothing at all. Even if he was still in the creation realm, he would still be able to deal with Dao Monarch Darkness, let alone being in the Unity Realm. Realm and power were two different things. Even when he was in creation realm, he could still kill Dao Lord Darkness. Since Dao Lord Darkness dared to be fearless towards him, he was sure that this guy didn't know that he and Yemo had teamed up to deal with many experts. As an ancient Dao Lord Darkness, he naturally wouldn't put Ningqing, who hadn't stabilized his Unity Realm, in his eyes. I wanted to ask you about the Law of Darkness. You came at the right time? Ningqing smiled faintly, not caring that Dao Lord Darkness saw him as his prey. Dao Lord Darkness had a sneer on his face. He took a step forward and a dark ray smashed towards Ningqing. Then I will teach you what the Law of Darkness is. When Dao Lord Darkness released it, it was still a dark ray. When everyone saw it, it had already turned into a dark world. This dark world only had one law, the Law of Darkness. This Law of Darkness stretched out like a huge net. All the void in the surrounding space disappeared and automatically evolved into a world of Law of Darkness. Even the cultivators watching from afar retreated in fear. If they retreated a little slower, this world born from the Law of Darkness seemed to be able to sweep them in. Even though they retreated far away, everyone's heart was shrouded in a layer of shadow. What they saw was a boundless dark space, and the dark space was filled with a dark murderous intent that made one's heart palpitate. So strong. This was the only thought in everyone's mind. Ningqing's Unity Realm was already very powerful in everyone's eyes. They didn't expect that a random Dao Lord Darkness could sweep up such a terrifying law world with a wave of his hand. Dao Lord Darkness wasn't in the top 10 Dao Lords, but he wasn't weaker than any of them. With such a powerful world of darkness, this person must be Dao Monarch Darkness. One of the spectating cultivators exclaimed. Lan Yuchen muttered to herself in shock, how can this person be so strong? He had sought out Dao Lord Darkness for a collaboration. If Tao Lord Darkness was too strong, what was the point of a collaboration? The voice in Lan Yuchen's Sea of Consciousness sneered, Tao Monarch Darkness is indeed very strong, but he also has a weakness. You don't have to worry. As long as Tao Monarch Darkness restrains Ning Cheng, we'll be able to get our share. When Tao Lord Darkness brought out his world of laws of darkness, the smirk on his face deepened. The Tao runes of the laws of darkness around him spread out endlessly. It was as if the entire void was going to be absorbed into his laws of darkness. Ning Cheng had asked him for advice regarding the laws of darkness, yet he wanted to be arrogant in front of him with just this bit of cultivation? Lan Shu could also feel the invasion of the terrifying laws of darkness, causing her to feel anxious in her heart. Even though she had used the primordial chaos Tao runes to reach the third step, her foundation was still inferior to others. Tao Lord Darkness's overwhelming nomological suppression made her feel a sense of helplessness. If it were her, she could only run as far as she could and try to escape before the laws of darkness completely enveloped her. Ning Cheng. Lan Shu called out but did not say anything else. At this time, even if Ning Cheng wanted to leave, it would be too late. The laws of darkness had already affected the surrounding void, and Ning Cheng and her were now under Tao Lord Darkness's nomological world. Ning Cheng shook his head at Lan Shu, signaling her not to worry. He also took a step forward and pointed out with his finger. The order-breaking finger destroyed the void and crushed all laws. No matter how strong the laws of darkness were, they were just laws. Kacha. The order-breaking finger and the Tao runes of the laws of darkness clashed, causing chaotic Tao runes to explode in the sky. Immediately, everyone was shocked to find that the laws of darkness, which enveloped all the surrounding void, started to crack like a spider's web. Ning Cheng clenched his finger into a fist, and the spider's web-like cracks completely collapsed. It was as if a red sun had torn through the layers of gray clouds. Everyone in this part of the void relaxed, and the shadow in their hearts dissipated. Tao Lord Darkness's eyes flashed with horror. Ning Cheng's strength had far exceeded his expectations. With just one move, he knew that he was not Ning Cheng's opponent. Before the dark cloud banner in his hand could fully roll out, Ning Cheng's good fortune divine spear blasted out again. His dark domain was like an eggshell under the laws of Ning Cheng's spirit technique, easily smashing apart. You actually comprehended the laws of darkness origin, and your understanding of the laws of darkness is even stronger than mine. This is impossible. Tao Lord Darkness looked at the good fortune divine spear in disbelief. Even the most powerful experts would not be able to tear apart his dark domain so easily. The only possibility was that Ning Cheng had completely mastered the laws of darkness, just like him. Not only that, but Ning Cheng's control of the laws of darkness was even stronger. Tao Lord Darkness didn't guess wrong. Ning Cheng's control of the laws of darkness was indeed stronger than Tao Lord Darkness's. Tao Lord Darkness controlled the laws of darkness of the light and dark universe. It could be said that in the light and dark universe, no one could control the laws of darkness better than Qin Mutian. However, Ning Cheng not only controlled the laws of darkness of the light and dark universe, but he also cut off the laws of darkness that he controlled and recondensed the laws of darkness of his own world. From this point alone, he was far stronger than Tao Lord Darkness. Ning Cheng said disdainfully, "Since you're called Tao Lord Darkness, are you the one who comprehended the laws of darkness the strongest? Forget about me, even Qin Mutian is much, much stronger than you. Back then, you used the deleted laws of darkness to trade with me, so I'll settle the score with you today." Qin Mutian? No wonder, you've been to the light and dark universe. Tao Lord Darkness suddenly understood. The reason why Ning Cheng could control the laws of darkness better than him was because Ning Cheng had also been to the light and dark universe. After knowing that Ning Cheng had been to the light and dark universe, Tao Lord Darkness calmed down. The dark cloud banner even swept up the aura of heaven and earth, turning into huge layers of dark clouds that blasted towards Ning Cheng. Spirit Technique, Darkness Domain. Darkness Domain was one of Tao Lord Darkness's top spirit techniques, somewhat similar to Ning Cheng's Traceless Collapse. the laws of darkness swept up by the dark cloud banner turned into layers of laws of darkness, just like layers of a realm. If the opponent was locked in this realm formed by the laws of darkness, even if they could tear a layer or two, they would still not be able to escape the shackles of Tao Lord Darkness's laws of darkness. One day, Qin Mutian will take care of you. After Tao Lord Darkness confirmed that Ning Cheng was stronger than him, he had already made plans to retreat. He knew that his darkness domain might not be able to do anything to Ning Cheng. Tao Lord Darkness didn't guess wrong. After Ning Cheng's creation Divine Spear, he also swept up layers of spatial collapses. Unlike Tao Lord Darkness created layers of void law realm out of thin air. Ning Cheng, on the other hand, tore layers of spatial dislocations in the void. The two spirit techniques collided, and the void surged with Tao charm that filled the sky. The terrifying spatial collapse and the roar of the realm echoed endlessly in the vast void. Ning Cheng's spatial collapse directly devoured Tao Lord Darkness's laws of darkness. Tao Lord Darkness quickly retreated, but no matter how fast he retreated, he wasn't as fast as the collapsing void. A bloody mist spurted out from Tao Lord Darkness's leg, and Tao Lord Darkness's entire body turned into a black shadow, disappearing without a trace along with the bloody mist. Ning Cheng didn't chase after him. Although he could catch up to Tao Lord Darkness, Lan Shu definitely wouldn't be that fast. Lan Yuchen's heart turned cold. Ning Cheng had just merged his realm, so how could he be so powerful? I didn't expect Tao Lord Darkness to be so weak. This person is terrifyingly powerful. Even if I was at my peak, I wouldn't be his opponent. We can't leave now. Play the pity card with that woman and leave this place first. As Tao Lord Darkness escaped, the voice in Lan Yuchen's sea of consciousness also had a hint of fear. Chapter 1485. Shu, you can come with me. So what if I cultivated to the level of Tao Monarch Darkness? I finally understand that everything else is secondary to me. I just want you to come with me. Lan Yuchen no longer paid attention to Ning Cheng. Instead, his gaze fell on Lan Shu, his eyes filled with expectation. His words gave people a feeling that he had seen the end of Tao Monarch Darkness. He had already thought it through. Lan Shu was more important than any treasure. The surrounding cultivators cupped their fists towards Ning Cheng from afar and bowed before retreating. Tao Monarch Darkness wasn't Ning Cheng's opponent, and Ning Cheng easily defeated Tao Monarch Darkness. From this, one could imagine that Ning Cheng was definitely an expert on the same level as the 5 sacred masters. Such a powerhouse could dictate their life and death. Who would dare to disrespect him? Ning Cheng's expression remained calm and didn't speak. He knew Lan Yuchen's tricks too well. For the sake of elder sister Shu's face, he didn't bother to kill this person right now. Lan Shu stared at Lan Yuchen for a long time before speaking up in a hoarse voice. You've changed. Even if you seek the great Tao by hook or by crook, you would never say such words before. Lan Yuchen's face stiffened. He understood that the other party already knew what he was thinking. Ning Cheng, let's go. Lan Shu suddenly turned around and left. Ning Cheng ignored Lan Yuchen and instantly left with Lan Shu. In the vast starry sky, there were too many people like Lan Yuchen. Lan Shu rushed all the way, and Ning Cheng could feel the pain in her heart. So he didn't stop her and let her run. Only after a few days did Lan Shu finally stop. Ning Cheng caught up and said, "Don't worry about it. People change. Lan Yuchen is like this now, but it doesn't mean that Lan Yuchen was like this in the past. So you don't have to feel sad." Lan Shu didn't answer Ning Cheng's words. She walked up to Ning Cheng and hugged him tightly. Ning Cheng was stunned. Lan Shu's actions surprised him too much. At this time, he could only pat Lan Shu's hand gently, but he didn't know how to persuade her. Although Ning Cheng had already merged with his realm, he had only cut his Tao and not cut his emotions. He was still a person with 5 emotions and 6 desires. Lan Shu's soft and fragrant body made him a little uncomfortable. Lan Shu did not know if she could feel Ning Cheng's discomfort, but her body slightly stiffened, and then immediately softened, as tears silently flowed down. Ning Qing gave a sigh as he converged his thoughts and remained silent like Lan Shu. At this moment he suddenly missed Luofei and Qianghua, as well as Yan Ji and Ruolin in the Grand Essence Realm. Even if the heavens fell and the earth cracked, he had to return to the Grand Essence Realm as soon as possible and then take Luofei to the Grand Simplicity Realm to find Qianghua. Not knowing for how long, Lan Shu slowly stood up from Ning Cheng's arms. Sister Shu, Ning Cheng had not yet spoken when Lan Shu stretched out her white hand and gently placed it on Ning Cheng's mouth, as her voice became even more hoarse. Thank you. If you were not by my side, this elder sister would not know how to face it. It's a pity that I met you too late. Ning Cheng opened his mouth and wanted to persuade her a few words, but Lan Shu seemed to know what Ning Cheng was thinking, as she gently waved her hand and spoke. You take care of yourself. Everyone wants to enter the gate of good fortune. It would definitely not be easy. You might be strong, but you still have to be careful. I'm leaving. Let's say our goodbyes here. Sister Shu, come back to the mysterious yellow sect with me. That's my place. Ruolin, Luofei and the others are there. Ning Cheng looked at Lan Shu slowly turning around and finally couldn't help but persuade her. Lan Shu shook her head. That's not the place your sister Shu would go. Where are you going? Ning Cheng asked with some worry. Lan Shu glanced at the vast and boundless void and spoke with a lonely voice. I don't know, but when I get tired of walking, I will stop one day. After that, she looked at Ning Cheng again. If I happen to meet you that day, I will go to your place with you. The implication was that if she did not meet Ning Cheng that day, she would find a place to go into seclusion forever and never come out again. After saying this, Lan Shu's entire body turned into a Dao charm and disappeared into the vast and boundless void. Lan Shu's figure slowly blurred, and then slowly disappeared from Ning Cheng's spiritual sense. Ning Cheng felt a kind of emptiness in his heart. He looked at the void where Lan Shu disappeared, and only after a long time did he give out a low sigh. Maybe once I step into the gate of good fortune, the entire void would fall under my spiritual sense. In a corner of the chaotic inner world, a powerful aura of Dao runes swept up. Following this powerful Dao rune was the thunderous sound of the void Dao rune exploding. The endless spirit chi around the mist rolled up, forming a long vein that disappeared into the middle of the explosion of the void Dao charm. The chaotic inner realm lacked spirit chi, and this kind of rich spirit chi was the result of a large spiritual gathering array arranged by a spirit vein. At the outermost periphery, a woman in a light blue robe watched anxiously. Someone is actually trying to reach Dao unification here? A fat monk looked at the place with a huge movement in amazement. Not only this monk, but some other cultivators who were also searching for treasures in the chaotic inner realm also noticed the huge movement. The fat monk shook his head. A Dao unification holy emperor, in his eyes, wasn't even comparable to an ant. He didn't care about it at all. Back then, he failed to snatch the primordial chaos Dao charm. Therefore, over the years, he had been searching around the chaotic inner realm. Since he couldn't snatch the primordial chaos Dao charm, he decided to loot everything else in this place. As long as a cultivator met him, it would be an unlucky one, because 99% of them would be destroyed and killed by him. However, he had a lazy habit. If there was a cultivator some distance away from him, he couldn't be bothered to chase and kill them. Of course, that was unless the cultivator obtained something good. If there was something good, no matter how far away it was, he wouldn't hesitate to chase after it and kill it, then take it for himself. After fighting for the primordial chaos Dao, the powerful ones usually left the chaotic inner realm, went into seclusion, or found a place to refine and fuse the treasures they obtained in the chaotic inner realm. Because of these reasons, the fat monk didn't encounter any powerful opponents. In 100,000 years, the fat monk looted close to 20% of the treasures in the chaotic inner realm. After 100,000 years of looting, the fat monk's mouth had become picky. What was so special about a primordial essence divine emperor? Just as the fat monk shook his head and was about to leave, he suddenly understood something. Then, he disappeared from the spot and flew towards the location of the Dao Unification Realm cultivator. An ordinary primordial essence divine emperor's Dao Unification Realm wasn't much to look at, but what was this place? the chaotic inner realm? The chaotic inner realm wasn't suitable for Tao unification. Not to mention a primordial essence divine emperor, even an ordinary Tao molding divine emperor knew this. Now that someone was Tao unification in the chaotic inner realm, the only possibility was that this Tao unification cultivator had found a great opportunity. This kind of opportunity forced the other party to Tao unification here. As soon as the fat monk arrived, a woman in a light yellow dress walked out of the mist. Sister Luofei, you succeeded in Tao unification? You've become even more beautiful. The woman in the light blue dress walked up to him with a joyful expression. The woman in the light yellow dress was also overjoyed. Sister Ji, this is a really good place. Not only did I succeed in Tao unification, but I also understood my own Tao. These two were Yan Ji and Ji Lufei, who came to the chaotic inner realm to look for Ning Cheng. The chaotic inner realm was too vast for people at their level. After searching for so many years, the two couldn't find any trace of Ning Cheng. They didn't even hear any news about him. Haha, both of you are sisters, good sisters? The fat monk laughed. He had seen a few peerless beauties in the chaotic inner realm, but unfortunately, he couldn't touch any of them. There was a woman named Xing Shi, and he almost died at the hands of that woman. There was also a woman in a purple dress. He didn't even dare to talk to this woman. She was just too powerful. Now, he saw two of them at once. Moreover, these two women were equally beautiful. They weren't any weaker than Xing Shi. Yan Ji and Ji Lufei immediately stood side by side and stared at the fat monk in front of them warily. Over the years, it wasn't that they hadn't encountered strong enemies. They even met a half-step world creation powerhouse once. However, the two of them defeated that fellow. The more the fat monk looked at the two women, the more satisfied he felt. After so many years of boring treasure hunting, it was time for him to have some fun. These two women were not only unparalleled in beauty, but they were also voluptuous and enchanting. They also exuded pure Tao spirituality. It was perfect for this fat lord to enjoy. What was even more beautiful was that one was already a woman and the other was still a virgin. It was exactly what he wanted. Chapter 1486. Sister Lefei, this person's cultivation should have reached the third step. Yan Ji stared at the fat monk cautiously while whispering to Ji Lu. Over the years, she and Ji Luofei had searched for Ning Cheng in the chaotic inner realm and obtained some opportunities. Not only did Luofei reach Tao integration, but she had also reached the peak of Tao integration and was only one step away from the third step. However, the gap between the third step and Tao integration was like a chasm. Some people couldn't even cross this chasm in their lifetime. Therefore, there was an essential difference between Tao integration and creation realm. Whether it was a false realm or a fake realm, there was an essential difference. Not everyone could be as heaven-defying as Ning Cheng and Yi Mo, who could fight against creation realm powerhouses at the Tao integration realm. Good eyesight, but it's still not enough. This monk is not only at the third step, but also at the unity realm. So, two sisters, follow this monk. It's your good fortune. The fat monk laughed. Yan Ji's voice couldn't hide from his ears at all. Lufei and Yan Ji's heart sank. He could even hear Yan Ji's voice. Even if the two of them joined forces, they probably wouldn't be this fat monk's opponent. Senior, my husband is also in this chaotic inner realm. Lufei said with a fluke in her heart. She knew that in terms of strength, the two of them couldn't compare to this monk. Even if the two of them escaped separately, they might not be able to escape. The fat monk laughed again and interrupted Ji Luofei's words. Don't scare this old monk. Don't say your husband's name. This old monk will tremble in fear. While talking, the fat monk didn't move. Instead, a powerful Tao charm turned into a huge handprint and grabbed towards Ji Luofei and Yan Ji. Under the pressure of the fat monk's domain, Ji Luofei and Yan Ji couldn't move at all. At this moment, they could only watch the fat monk's Tao charm giant hand crush them. So, you're a senior. Don't you feel ashamed to attack two junior women? A crisp voice came. After the fat monk used his realm domain to bind Ji Luofei and Yan Ji, he looked at a spot in the void and spoke. Hee hee, Do you think that with an escape talisman in your hand, you can casually berate your fat ancestor? A monk doesn't fear many, but not many. Since you're here, then come together. As he spoke, a majestic aura of Taoist rhymes swept out, and the entire space froze under this aura. Under the sweep of the fat monk's Tao monarch, two figures appeared in the void not far from Ji Luofei and Yan Ji. These were also two women, but the only difference was that the cultivation of these two women seemed to be inferior to Ji Luofei and Yan Ji. As the shackles weakened, Yan Ji took the opportunity to raise her hand and bring out a spear talisman. The realm boundary binding her and Ji Luofei suddenly exploded under this spear talisman. Immediately Yan Ji anxiously called out, "Many thanks to the two senior apprentice sisters for their help. You should quickly leave. If there is a chance, please help us send a letter to my husband Ning Cheng. Tell him that Luofei and I died at the hands of a fat monk." Ling Xiaoshuang, who was about to crush the escape talisman, suddenly stopped. Not only Ling Xiaoshuang, but even the fat monk's Tao runes also paused. Ji Luofei and Yan Ji quickly used the residual power of the spear talisman to escape from the monk's domain Tao charm shackles. Even if you want to escape, this monk can easily catch up with you. If you don't believe me, just try it. The fat monk slowly recovered and spoke in a low voice. Compared to the previous frivolous and disdainful tone, the fat monk's tone seemed a little more anxious. After Ning Cheng snatched the primordial chaos Tao charm, he asked around and finally learned about Ning Cheng's origin. Moreover, he also learned that the chaotic inner realm opened because Ning Cheng called the good fortune indestructible axe. Not only that, but the mysterious yellow holy master, five-color Tao monarch and strength Tao monarch joined forces to plot against Ning Cheng, but Ning Cheng still managed to escape. Although he was conceited, he probably couldn't even deal with one of the four who attacked Ning Cheng. One could imagine how much pressure Ning Cheng put on him. This really matched his previous arrogant words. He didn't care about other names at all. But this Ning Cheng? If he really touched these two women, he would probably tremble in fear when he heard this name in the future. Perhaps Ning Cheng had already fallen. Otherwise, why hadn't there been any news about him for so many years? As long as he took these these four women, who knew what would happen? The only thing was that he couldn't let any of the four escape. Similarly, Ji Luofei and Yan Ji also knew that the fat monk's words were true, so they didn't dare to escape. Instead, they stared at the fat monk carefully. "Is your husband really Ning Cheng?" Ling Xiaoshuang asked in surprise. She didn't continue to crush the escape talisman in her hand. Yan Ji nodded. "Ning Cheng is our husband." "Senior sister, do you know Ning Cheng?" Yan Ji showed an expectant expression as she said the last sentence. Kai Ji, who was standing on the side, curled her lips and muttered to herself, "These experts really are playboys. This Ning Cheng actually has two wives." Ling Xiaoshuang smiled slightly and didn't care about Kai Ji's words. In the vast starry sky, as long as there were like-minded people, not to mention two, even if there were 7 or 8 of them together, they would still be an enviable couple. The reason why Kai Ji said that was because the place where Kai Ji lived was completely different from the vast universe. "I really saw Tao monarch Ning Cheng." Not long ago, Tao monarch Ning Cheng succeeded in merging his realm and fought with Tao monarch darkness. Ning Cheng succeeded in merging his realm? The corner of the fat monk's mouth kept twitching as he asked subconsciously. When he first saw Ning Cheng seemed to have just created his realm not long ago. Now, he had already merged his realm? When Ning Cheng created his realm, he was far from being his opponent. Now, he must have merged his realm because of the primordial Tao charm. With his cultivation, he probably couldn't even be crushed to death with a finger. Tao monarch Ning Cheng merged his realm. We saw it with our own eyes. How can it be fake? Kai Ji snorted. She didn't like this fat monk at all. If Big Brother Yi was here, he would probably kill him with a slap. Her strength was still too low. She had to work hard to improve her cultivation. What was the result of his battle with Tao monarch darkness? The fat monk quickly stood up and asked again. Ling Xiaoshuang said faintly, "That's not a battle. Tao monarch darkness and Tao monarch Ning Cheng are too far apart. In just one move, Dao Monarch Darkness suffered heavy injuries and escaped. If Dao Monarch Ningqing wasn't busy and couldn't leave, I'm afraid Dao Monarch Darkness would have long been removed from this universe. The fat monk sucked in a breath of cold air. Ningqing's strength had indeed grown a lot stronger. Not to mention Ningqing, even that Dao Monarch Darkness could easily kill this monk. Should these two women move or not? If they didn't move, Ningqing would definitely find out that he once wanted to take away his Dao companion. But if they moved, when Yanji and Ji Luofei heard that Ningqing was here, they immediately wanted to stop Ling Xiaoshuang and Kai Ji to ask about it. But now that the fat monk was here, the two of them had to hold back. Seeing that the fat monk had some fear towards Ningqing, Luofei said in a cold tone, "What's wrong? Don't you believe that Ningqing is our husband?" The fat monk's heart sank. How could he not believe it? Although the spear talisman that Yanji brought out just now was tender, it was obviously condensed by Ningqing's spear intent. Ningqing was sure that when he condensed this spear talisman, his strength wasn't high. Ningqing finally retracted his gaze. If it weren't for these things, Lan Shu would never have left alone. He lowered his head and looked at the mini axe in his hands. This axe was something that Lan Shu had left in his hands before she left. Why did she give him this axe? Ningqing was very clear in his heart. Because this axe was refined from the true cosmic devil metal. Originally, it was Lan Shu who had brought him to the harvest smithy with a piece of the precious true cosmic devil metal. The true cosmic devil metal was a precious treasure in the Yixing mainland. Even if it was thrown on the ground here, no one would stoop down to pick it up. Lan Shu was telling him that her friendship with him was the same as it was in the beginning and would never change. Just like this true cosmic devil metal, it would not change because of anything. Ningqing carefully used his finger to drip a drop of essence blood on the mini true cosmic devil axe. With his current strength, to refine this low-leveled axe, he only needed to sweep it with his spiritual sense. But he still used the method that he had used to refine the true devil axe. Only in this way would he be able to recall the little bits and pieces of the past. Ningqing's strength was just too strong. As soon as a drop of his blood fell on the mini axe, the axe automatically became his. There was simply no need for him to refine it. Then Lan Shu's surprised voice arrived. "Younger brother Cheng, you are still the same as before. Elder sister Shu is really happy. In this world, not everything and everyone will change. At least I will not change, and at least you will not change either. You can use your essence blood to refine this true devil axe. Even if I don't meet you in the future, maybe I will come back to find you. I met Senior Shi Yiqing in the Grand Essence Ruins, and Senior Shi asked me to bring you a message. After Qianghua entered the samsara path to severing emotions, she never came out. Also, you have to be careful when you go there. Take care of yourself." The voice stopped abruptly. Qianghua entered the samsara path to severing emotions? Ningqing felt surprised, and his first instinct was to chase after Lan Shu. But he quickly calmed down. If Lan Shu knew where the samsara path was, she would have definitely told him about it. Thinking of this, Ningqing could no longer stay. With a single step, he stepped into the original chaotic inner realm through the void crack. He had to find Shi Yiqing as soon as possible and ask Shi Yiqing to tell him where the samsara path was. The reason why Shi Yiqing didn't tell Lan Shu about the location of the samsara path, apart from the secret of the 9 revolving sacred Dao Pond, was to see how determined he was to save Qianghua. Ningqing had just stepped into the chaotic inner realm when he felt ecstatic. He also saw Luofei and Yanji here. Since Luofei and Yanji appeared here, they must have come to find him. Then he saw the fat monk and the spear talisman he had left for Yanji. Ningqing immediately became furious and took a step forward. This fat monk had attacked him when he tried to snatch the primordial Dao charm. Ningqing hadn't even settled the debt, yet he dared to stop Luofei and Yanji. It was simply courting death. Chapter 1487. While the fat monk pondered, Ji Luofei and Yanji didn't dare to move. Ling Xiaoshuang and Kai Ji, who stood in the void in the distance, clenched their escape talismans, ready to escape at any time. Before the fat monk made a decision, they didn't want to provoke this guy. The fat monk thought for half an incense stick worth of time and finally made up his mind. He wanted to kill these 4 women, not take them away but kill them directly. If they were other women, he could take them back and enjoy them before killing them. However, he didn't dare to take away Ning Cheng's women. Not only did he want to kill these 4 women, but he also wanted to erase all traces of them. After doing this, he immediately left the chaotic inner realm. After so many years in the chaotic inner realm, he had already obtained everything he could. If he couldn't obtain it, even if he stayed for hundreds of thousands of years, it would still be the same. The only thing he had to do now was to find a secluded place to go into seclusion and wait for the gate of good fortune to open. What does it have to do with me whether Ning Cheng is your husband or not? I don't know who Ning Cheng is. The fat monk spoke while raising his hand and sprinkling Buddha's light. Ling Xiaoshuang crushed the escape talisman almost the moment the fat monk sprinkled Buddha's light. She was still a step too late. Just as the Tao charm of the escape talisman was activated, the fat monk's Buddha's light suddenly blocked it. Ji Lufei and Yan Ji saw that the fat monk finally chose to make a move and immediately brought out their weapons. Ji Lufei, who brought out her weapon, didn't make a move. Instead, she looked at the void in the distance with surprise. As long as she was in the same plane as Ning Cheng, she could feel Ning Cheng's presence. At this moment, she clearly felt Ning Cheng's arrival. The fat monk also felt something wrong. Before he could react, a majestic aura rolled over. At this moment, it felt like the entire chaotic inner realm had turned upside down and blasted on his head, making it difficult for him to move. A powerhouse had arrived. At this time, the fat monk couldn't care about others. The Buddha's light that bound Ling Xiaoshuang's escape talisman instantly turned into a light blade and tore it back. He wanted to blast away the majestic aura that crushed him and then leave immediately. Bald donkey, I haven't even settled accounts with you for plotting against me. Today, you actually dare to plot against the people around me. Ning Cheng's voice came, and the fat monk felt as if he had been struck by lightning. The reason why he wanted to kill Ji Luofei's group of 4 was to silence them. He didn't expect that the person he was afraid of would come before he could silence them. Slap. Ning Cheng's Tao charm handprint slapped down, and the protective realm domain around the fat monk directly shattered. Then, a long spear blasted down from the void. While the fat monk was still in shock, Ning Cheng's good fortune spirit spear nailed him to the void. At this moment, there was only endless regret in his heart. If he had not hesitated, perhaps he would have killed the 2 women already. Or rather, if he knew that these 2 women belonged to Ning Cheng, he would have immediately left, and perhaps he would have been fine. However, he hesitated for a moment and then made the decision to kill them. In the end, not only did he fail to silence the culprit, he even attracted the culprit. Even if he really had to face Ning Cheng, if he went all out against him, then maybe he would have a chance to escape. Unfortunately, he had already lost his courage. Suppressed by Ning Cheng's Tao charm aura, he didn't even have the chance to resist before he was nailed to the void. This was the most embarrassing moment he had ever experienced since he started cultivating. Husband. Ji Luofei's voice was a little choked up. She hadn't seen Ning Cheng for so many years. At first sight, she didn't even know what to say. Ning Cheng had already landed beside Ji Luofei and Yan Ji. He reached out and hugged the 2. Someone plotted against me in the chaotic inner realm and trapped me here. Ning Cheng didn't explain anything. Everything else was secondary. Ji Luofei and Yan Ji didn't speak anymore. No matter how many years had passed, it was enough to see Ning Cheng again. Time seemed to stop. Whether it was Ning Cheng, Ji Lufei, or Yan Ji, they all quietly enjoyed the joy of hugging each other, enjoying the reunion after a long time. At this moment, no one spoke. Ling Xiaoshuang and Kai Ji, who wanted to escape in the distance, also gave up after Ning Cheng arrived. Neither of them made a sound to disturb Ning Cheng. Instead, they waited quietly in the distance. Even the fat monk, who was nailed to the void by Ning Cheng, didn't dare to make a sound at this moment. Regret didn't help him. Instead, he was thinking about how to escape this disaster. Husband, let's go back. Ji Luofei's body softened in Ning Cheng's arms. She didn't want to be seen by others. I didn't expect you to reach Tao integration. Ji has already reached the full circle of Tao integration. Ning Cheng felt the strength of the two and spoke with a tone full of surprise. The reason why the gate of good fortune hadn't opened yet was that Xingshi was still in seclusion. Once Xingshi came out and perfected the green lotus of good fortune, the gate of good fortune would open immediately. Naturally, the stronger the people around him, the better. Ji Lufei let out an sound from the tip of her nose. Ji looked up, her pretty face blushing. Big brother, we can be together now. It won't affect us anymore. Ning Cheng naturally understood Ji's meaning. He lowered his head and kissed Ji's plump pink lips. His heart also felt a little fiery. Naturally, after I deal with this guy, we'll go back immediately. Seeing Ning Cheng finally stand up and face him, the fat monk quickly said, Tao Lord Ning, you misunderstood me. I have no intention of dealing with the two fairies at all. Otherwise, I wouldn't have waited for Tao Lord to come here. Despicable thing, you hesitated because you were worried that Tao Lord Ning could find you. Do you dare to say that you didn't hesitate because of this? Later, you decided to kill the four of us and suddenly attacked. If Tao Lord Ning hadn't come, I'm afraid you would have succeeded. Kai Ji stepped down and spoke with sarcasm. Ning Cheng, seeing that Luofei and Ji didn't explain, knew that it was true. He opened his hand, but before he could make a move, the fat monk understood Ning Cheng's meaning and shouted, Tao Lord Ning, you can kill me, but I'm the sixth Buddha under the Western Universe's Holy Buddha Chu Pu. If something happens to me, the Holy Buddha will definitely investigate the reason. Ji spoke with sarcasm, do scum like you deserve to be called a Buddha? Don't pollute the word Buddha. Ning Cheng had never heard of any Holy Buddha Chu Pu. Before the fat monk could finish the second half of the sentence, Ning Cheng's Tao charm appeared, and the good fortune divine spear fell into his hand. At the same time, he threw out a flame. The fat monk didn't even have a chance to reincarnate, and his spirit's soul perished. No one could threaten Ning Cheng, not even the Holy Buddha he had never heard of. Clear Dream Temple's Ling Xiaoshuang thanks Senior for your help. Ling Xiaoshuang knew how terrifying the young man in front of her was, so she greeted him with a respectful tone. Even though Kai Ji called Ning Cheng a playboy, she didn't dare to act rashly in front of Ning Cheng. Which sex Kai Ji greets Senior Ning. Thank you for your help. Ji Luofei quickly said, we should be the ones thanking you. If you hadn't stopped us, the monk would have taken Ji and me away. Ji quickly explained to Ning Cheng, who quickly returned the courtesy. Thank you for your help. Let's treat each other as equals in the future. It's awkward to address each other as seniors. Ning Cheng had met Ling Xiaoshuang and Kai Ji before when he was trying to break through to the integration realm. However, the two of them didn't do anything from beginning to end, and Ning Cheng didn't mention it either. Upon hearing Ning Cheng's words, Ling Xiaoshuang and Kai Ji quickly returned the courtesy. Ning Cheng turned to Kai Ji and asked, are you a witch sect disciple? I heard that witch sect disciples only cultivate their physical bodies and don't cultivate their spirit force. Your spirit force isn't weak. Although it's still at the perfected primordial chaos realm, it's not weaker than an ordinary early-stage Tao integration cultivator. Kai Ji quickly said, a fellow villager of mine helped me. He helped me modify my cultivation technique so that my witch sect cultivation technique could cultivate spirit force. So that was the case. Ning Cheng was sure that Kai Ji's fellow villager was an amazing person. How could an ordinary person modify a witch sect cultivation technique to the point that it could cultivate spirit force? There's one more thing I want to ask the two of you. Do you know who Holy Buddha Chu Pu of the Western Universe is? Ning Cheng had never heard of Holy Buddha Chu Pu. Since the fat monk he killed was his subordinate, it would be a good thing for him to ask about him. Ling Xiaoshuang and Kai Ji shook their heads. This is the first time we've heard of Holy Buddha Chu Pu. Ning Cheng didn't ask anything else. Instead, he said to Kai Ji, you cultivate a witch sect cultivation technique. If you're not from the witch race, you have to be careful of people from the witch race. Once they learn that your cultivation technique can generate spirit force, I'm afraid they will take you away by hook or by crook. Also, you have to be careful. Don't casually say that you're from a witch sect. It won't do you any good. Thank you for your concern, Big Brother Ning. I heard that the sorcerer tribe's cultivation method can also be used to cultivate divine will. Also, the sorcerer tribe has produced a peerless genius woman. In less than 100,000 years, her strength is already not inferior to the 10 great Tao lords and the 5 great sacred lords. It is said that the witch race will no longer stay in the corner of the universe and is preparing to return to their original place. Kai Ji thanked Ning Cheng and told him the news she had heard. In less than 100,000 years, she could already compete with the 10 Tao lords. She was indeed a peerless genius. However, in Ning Cheng's eyes, it was far from enough. Ning Cheng smiled slightly. It's indeed not bad. Thank you for your help. Here are 2 of my spear talismans. You can use the spear talismans in the future. You can also bring the spear talismans to the 5 Grands Grand Essence Realm or the heavens beyond of heaven and earth to ask me for help. After saying that, Ning Cheng took out the 2 spear talismans and handed them to Ling Xiaoshuang and Kai Ji. Then, he took a step into the void and disappeared without a trace. Xiaoshuang, I guess Tao Lord Ning isn't much weaker than Big Brother Yi, Kai Ji said as she watched Ning Cheng disappear. Ling Xiaoshuang looked at the spear talisman in her hand and put it away. She didn't answer Kai Ji's question directly. Instead, she sighed and said, Kai Ji, let's go. There aren't many good things here. Chapter 1488. It had been a few days since the starry sky wheel left the chaotic inner world. Therefore, Ning Cheng's biggest worry was that Qin Mutian would find his way to the Grand Essence Realm. When he heard Luofei say that Qin Mutian didn't go to the Grand Essence Realm, Ning Cheng finally felt relieved. Qin Mutian was extremely powerful. Before he stepped into the fusing realm, he didn't dare to say that he could deal with Qin Mutian. But now, Ning Cheng no longer feared Qin Mutian. Even if he had just stepped into the Unity Realm, he was confident that he could kill Qin Mutian. With Qin Mutian's ability, he should be able to obtain a primordial Tao rune. When he obtained the primordial Chaos Tao runes, he had just created his realm. When Qin Mutian obtained the primordial Chaos Tao runes, he had already merged his realm. Ning Cheng had already refined and fused with the primordial Tao charm. Therefore, he naturally understood that treasures like the primordial Tao charm were best obtained as low as possible. Of course, the prerequisite was that you could control it. Even with Ning Cheng's strength in the creation realm, he almost fell under the primordial mist Tao charm. Even if ordinary creation realm experts obtained the primordial Tao runes, they would probably die without anyone's help. Based on the situation after the chaotic inner realm opened, it was impossible for those with weaker cultivations to obtain the primordial Tao aura. Those that were able to obtain the primordial Tao aura were naturally top figures amongst them, so they probably wouldn't suffer a backlash from the primordial Tao. In Ning Cheng's opinion, Qin Mutian hadn't gone to the Grand Essence Realm yet. One possibility was that Qin Mutian didn't care about such a trivial matter at all. Secondly, Qin Mutian had yet to completely fuse with the primordial Tao runes. Regarding this point, Ning Cheng had never doubted it. He had spent hundreds of thousands of years fusing with the primordial Tao runes, and he had almost perished under the primordial Tao runes. Of course, this was related to his injuries, but at the same time, his injuries were also an opportunity for him to speed up the process of heaven and earth decay. The starry sky will cut through one boundary after another in the void as it sped along at high speed. Ji Lufei and Yan Ji snuggled up to Ning Cheng's side. Over the past few days, the 3 of them had never separated. My husband, how long more before we can return to Taisu? Ji Luofei's face was ruddy, and her Tao charm looked even more condensed. No one could tell that she had just reached Tao perfection. Over the past few days, Ji Luofei and Ning Cheng had been spending a lot of time together. Ning Cheng had fused with the primordial Tao charm and stepped into the amalgamation realm. This kind of benefit would naturally be shared with Ji Luofei. Not to mention Ji Lufei, even Yan Ji, who had just become a married woman, also vaguely showed signs of stepping into the 3rd step. Moreover, Ning Cheng was trying his best to suppress it, to prevent Yan Ji from stepping into the 3rd step so quickly. Yan Ji's understanding of the 3rd step and Ning Cheng's understanding of the 3rd step were on a completely different level. Although Ning Cheng had explained to Yan Ji that cutting down one's Tao and condensing laws to evolve a world was the strongest way to step into the third step. It was just that this great Tao was easy to talk about, but to do it was extremely difficult. Although Yan Ji had a lot of opportunities, but none of them were as heaven-defying as Ning Cheng, nor did she have a treasure like the mysterious yellow bead. Now that Ning Cheng had stepped into the third step, he no longer needed the mysterious yellow bead. However, the reason why Ning Cheng was able to reach this point was not because of his qualifications, but because of the mysterious yellow bead. Without a heaven-defying treasure like the mysterious yellow bead, even if Yan Ji knew that Ning Cheng had cutting the Tao to create a realm, she wouldn't know where to start. Sister Luofei, didn't you say you wanted a child? Now I can take it. Yan Ji felt incomparably satisfied in her heart. She had never doubted Ning Cheng's words. Ever since she left the Yen clan, she had never had such a comfortable and contented life. Instead of thinking about stepping into the third step, she naturally thought about something else. If not for wanting to step into the third step, she would have already rushed ahead of Luofei. After saying those words, she even thought about how cute the child would be once it came out. Luofei indeed wanted a child. But after hesitating for a while, she still spoke up. Husband, before we came here, Senior Shi Qianxi from the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond went to the mysterious yellow sect once. What did she say? Ning Cheng hurriedly asked. He had always been thinking about Shi Qianghua. But because he didn't want to affect Ji Luofei and Yan Ji's happiness, he didn't say anything. He hadn't accompanied Luofei and Yan Ji for a long time. Although this time was nothing in the vast universe, he still felt guilty in his heart. What did he cultivate? Cultivating the heavenly Tao, standing alone in the clouds, and then living alone? Such a Tao was truly not something that Ning Cheng pursued. His Tao was that wherever he was, the Tao would be there. He had never suppressed his own temperament and emotions. Therefore, his existence, his Tao, was filled with all kinds of worldly emotions. Senior Shi said that Qianghua went to the Grand Change Realm's path of severing emotions and never came back. She wanted to ask you for help, but you weren't at home at that time. Ji Luofei explained. It turned out that the path of severing emotions and samsara was in the Grand Change Realm. Ning Cheng decided to go to the Grand Change Realm to find Qianghua first before returning to the Grand Essence Realm. Luofei, Sister Ji, I plan to go directly to the Grand Change Realm with. Before Ning Cheng could finish, Luofei reached out and stopped him. She then said with a soft voice, Husband, how long will it take for us to return to the Grand Change Realm? Ning Cheng calculated and said, 2 to 3 months. Ji Luofei and Yan Ji felt startled, and Yan Ji asked, if we didn't ride the starry sky wheel, wouldn't it take less time if husband crossed the void alone? Ning Cheng nodded and said, yes, if I went alone, I would indeed come back in a shorter time. In fact, Ning Cheng could send Ji Luofei and Yan Ji into the mysterious yellow bead, and then he could return to the Grand Change Realm in the shortest time. But for such a long time, he hadn't been together with Yan Ji and Luofei. It was just a little more than 2 months, yet he still had to rush back. It really disappointed the two of them. Ji Luofei suddenly spoke up, Husband, after you reach the Grand Change Realm, you can go directly to find Sister Qianghua. Sister Ji and I will return to the Grand Essence Realm and wait for you and Sister Qianghua. But since we're already here, let's go together. Ning Cheng looked at Ji Luofei in confusion. Ji Luofei showed a slight smile. I believe that husband will definitely find Sister Qianghua and bring Sister Qianghua back. We can just wait at home. There's one more thing. Ning Cheng instantly understood Ji Luofei's meaning. That is, after he rescued Qianghua, she wanted him to accompany Qianghua. However, Luofei didn't say it out loud. If he couldn't save Qianghua with his strength, then it would be the same even if they went. Ning Cheng raised his hand and took out a 7-colored glaze and a half-moon twin rings before handing them to Ji Luofei and Yan Ji respectively. These are 2 weapons that I refined before the chaotic inner world opened. I'll leave them for you to protect yourselves. Good treasures. When Ning Cheng took out these 2 weapons, Ji Luofei and Yan Ji understood that they weren't ordinary treasures. With their current vision, they could naturally tell that these 2 treasures exceeded the category of top-quality spirit artifacts. Yen Ji grabbed the crescent moon twin rings and looked at it for a long time before giving out a sigh and speaking. If I had this treasure before, that fat monk might not have been able to imprison me and Luofei at once. Ji Lufei also reached out and grabbed the seven-colored glaze. After hearing Yen Ji's words, she spoke up to Ning Cheng with some worry. Husband, you have to be careful of that sage Buddha Chu Pu that the fat monk mentioned. An expert like the fat monk is just a disciple in front of that person. This person definitely isn't someone to be taken lightly. Ning Cheng hugged Ji Luofei tightly and chuckled, don't worry. For that sage Buddha Chu Pu, I'm not someone to be trifled with. Ji Luofei's mood immediately improved when she heard those words. She raised her hand and held Ning Cheng's hand. She never doubted Ning Cheng's words. By the way, what was the other thing you told me before? Ning Cheng thought back to what Ji Luofei had said before and asked. Ji Luofei's face turned red, and Yen Ji suddenly understood. Seeing Yen Ji about to speak, Ji Luofei quickly whispered into Ning Cheng's ear, there are still 2 months left. Let's have a child. Yen Ji laughed, while Ji Luofei's face turned even redder. She had never spoken with such seductive words before, which made her feel unnatural for a while. 2 months later, Grand Change Realm. This place has really changed a lot. It looks like Bai Ling and Jie Xinshui didn't lie to me. They really want to make the Grand Change Realm a beautiful place. After Ning Cheng landed in the Grand Change Realm, he swept out with his spiritual consciousness and immediately understood the changes in the Grand Change Realm. Ning Cheng didn't plan to look for Bai Ling and Jie Xinshui. The Grand Change Realm's development was more complete than before, and there were no more messy forces. The law of the jungle was also a rare sight. Therefore, Ning Cheng felt that it was all thanks to these two people. Since the Grand Change Realm and the Grand Essence Realm had gradually become similar, Ning Cheng didn't plan to disturb the two. His spiritual consciousness permeated every corner of the Grand Change Realm. With his current strength, as long as the Tao of severing emotions and samsara was in the Grand Change Realm, no matter how hidden it was, he could find it. Chapter 1489. Even for a Tao Unification Holy Emperor, the Great Change Realm was vast and boundless. But for Ning Cheng, his spiritual consciousness easily covered the entire Great Change Realm. Everything in the Great Change Realm appeared clearly in his sea of consciousness. He saw many acquaintances, even Xiang Ding Tian, whom he had saved before. Unfortunately, he couldn't find any trace of Shi Qianghua in his spiritual consciousness. Ning Cheng didn't give up and scanned the Great Change Realm with his spiritual consciousness again and again. He was sure that he didn't miss a single spot in the Great Change Realm. There were a few places where one's divine sense was isolated, but his divine sense also penetrated into them. In the end, he still believed that the samsara path of severing emotions wasn't here. Even if he didn't know what the samsara path of severing emotions was, Ning Cheng could tell a thing or two from its name. Moreover, he had seen Shi Qianghua cultivate it. Since the samsara path of severing emotions was the place where the Tao charm of the 9 revolving sacred Tao pond reached the 3rd step, it definitely contained the Tao charm of the samsara laws. In fact, he hadn't seen such a place so far. Shi Qianghua was Shi Qianghua's mother. If the entrance to the samsara path of severing emotions wasn't in the Great Change Realm, Shi Qianghua would never lie about it. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng calmed his mind and explored the entire Great Change Realm over and over again. When Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept through for the 17th time, his spiritual consciousness stopped at a grayish-white space in the northernmost corner of the Great Change Realm. His spiritual consciousness penetrated through this grayish-white space and found that it was a sea region in the Great Change Realm. The sea region was originally grayish-white in color, so there was nothing strange about it. However, Ning Cheng vaguely felt a faint Tao charm from this grayish-white space. This Tao charm was somewhat similar to the Tao charm of the samsara Tao charm. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness penetrated through it completely and repeatedly checked it. After an incense stick worth of time, Ning Cheng stepped out of the void and landed in front of this grayish-white space. There was something strange about this place. What his spiritual consciousness observed was most likely an illusion. Behind this grayish-white space was indeed the sea on the edge of the Great Change Realm. After Ning Qing repeatedly observed it, he vaguely saw that this grayish-white space was the sea. But if he felt the aura of the Tao charm, it wasn't the aura of the sea. The sea didn't have the samsara Tao charm. Ning Qing raised his hand and tore it down, but a dull sound emerged. For the first time, Ning Qing did not tear it apart. So powerful. Not to mention a realm boundary, even a positional plane could be torn apart by Ning Qing's attack. This time, Ning Qing did not tear this place apart. The only possibility was that the toughness of this grayish-white space was much tougher compared to the positional plane. Ning Qing raised his hand for the second time and tore it down. This time, he used almost 60% of his Tao charm power. A cracking sound emerged, and a passage appeared in front of Ning Qing. The Tao charm aura coming from the passage contained some samsara Tao charm. Sure enough, it wasn't a sea behind him, but a space. Coupled with the slight Tao charm of samsara, Ning Qing felt almost 100% sure that this was the 9 revolving sacred Tao Pon's path of severing emotions and samsara. Ning Qing did not hesitate for even half a moment and directly stepped into the passage. A powerful and majestic Tao rune aura surged within the passageway. These auras were very powerful and the laws were very clear. If Ning Qing had come here before stepping into the third step, he would have definitely been shocked by the majestic Tao charm aura here. Now, Ning Qing had not only stepped into the third step, but he had also stepped into the convergence realm. To him, the aura here was like a toddler learning to walk, which was quite ridiculous. Even if he succeeded in creating a world here, it would only be a little stronger than a pseudo-world. Even experts like Tao Monarch Celestial couldn't compare. In just a few breaths, Ning Qing could clearly feel a trace of Qionghua's aura. Even after tens of thousands of years, Ning Qing could still feel it. Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness swept out unscrupulously, and the next moment, he saw Qionghua's figure a few hundred feet away. Sure, Qionghua's figure froze, just like a statue. Ning Qing suddenly felt sluggish. He could clearly see that Qionghu didn't look like a statue, but had truly turned into a statue. Ning Qing's eyes almost popped out of their sockets as he took a step forward and landed beside Shi Qionghu. His hands and feet, even his entire body, were trembling. Qionghu had not only turned into a statue, but she also didn't have any soul aura. Was this the spiritual soul annihilation? The terrifying Samsara Tao charm aura swept over, and the Samsara Tao charm aura seemed to want to turn Ning Qing into a statue. Die for me. Ning Qing raised his hand and punched out. The powerful Tao charm aura that wanted to sweep him in and turn him into a statue dissipated under Ning Qing's punch. As if sensing Ning Qing's power, the terrifying Samsara Tao charm aura no longer dared to approach Ning Qing. Ning Qing fully understood why Qionghu had turned into a statue. When she crossed this place, the endless Samsara Tao charm aura suppressed her, causing her spirit soul to dissipate. The Samsara Tao charm then condensed her into a statue. The violence and anxiety slowly subsided. This was the place where the Samsara Tao charm was located. Why did Qionghu turn into a statue? Ning Qing's trembling hand held Qionghua's cold palm, and his gaze fell on a huge white platform not far away. 3 words floated above the white platform, severing thoughts platform. With Ning Qing's strength, with just a thought, he had already understood what was going on. Severing thoughts meant severing one's Tao intent, which was somewhat similar to the 9 revolutions sacred Tao Pon's severing of emotions. He had seen Shi Xiangjuan, who was older than the founder of the 9 revolutions sacred Tao Pond. Therefore, he knew that the 9 revolutions sacred Tao Pond also required severing emotions and samsara. The reason why Qionghu hadn't come here was that she hadn't severed the distracting thoughts in her heart. Ning Qing recalled Qionghua's words before they parted. I've never had any thoughts about any man, but in my 9th life, I became husband and wife with you. I think I must have used my life to fall in love with you. Even if I severed the emotions of my 9 lives because of cultivation, I still couldn't sever this memory. I'm afraid that if I really stepped into the 3rd step, I would no longer know who you are. Qionghu couldn't sever the feelings of being husband and wife with him in his 9th life, so she didn't want to sever this emotion. Therefore, the Samsara Dao charm turned her into a statue, and she fell here. How much love can I have? It's the most precious thing in my 10 lives. I will never sever it. Ning Cheng suddenly felt Qionghua's inner confession at that time. Qionghua. Ning Cheng's eyes turned blurry. He knew that this wasn't Qionghua's thoughts, but Qionghua's obsession. He wasn't the luckiest when he obtained the mysterious yellow bead, comprehended the cutting Dao creation realm, or obtained the primordial Dao charm and successfully merged with his world. Instead, he had Luo Fei and Yan Ji, as well as Qionghua's emotional obsession with him. Just like Yu Qing, this was a woman who left an obsession in him. Ning Cheng looked at Qionghua's lifeless face and murmured, Qionghua, I once told you to remember that there's a love that doesn't enter samsara, regardless of time and space. No matter how strong the Grand Dao is, it can't sever it. If the Grand Dao can sever that love, then we can do it again. If the Grand Dao blocks us, then I will sever that Grand Dao. I didn't have that strength before, but today, let me sever the Grand Dao that blocks us. Whether it's the vast universe or the supreme powerhouses, no one can stop me. Ning Cheng's initial voice was just a whisper. But as he spoke, his voice grew louder. In the end, his voice sounded like a morning bell and evening drum, rumbling endlessly within the samsara passage. Destroy for me. After saying this, Ning Cheng suddenly turned around and punched the cutting thought platform. The cutting thought platform contained the endless samsara distracting thoughts of the 9 revolutions sacred Dao pond had accumulated over the years. But in front of Ning Cheng's punch, the mind-severing platform was like a piece of paper, shattering into pieces. Ning Cheng's punch shattered the cutting thought platform, and the endless mottled distracting thoughts rolled up. Ning Cheng raised his hand, and the mottled and boundless distracting thoughts disappeared without a trace. A sharp and shrill voice emerged. Who are you? What does my 9 revolutions sacred Dao pond's emotions severing samsara Dao have anything to do with you? Do you want to destroy my cutting thought platform and my samsara Dao? The enmity of snatching someone's Grand Dao is absolutely irreconcilable. Do you think that my 9 revolutions sacred Dao is easy to bully? Ning Cheng raised his hands and picked up the ice-cold Shi Qionghua before speaking with an equally cold voice. This emotion-severing samsara Dao doesn't need to exist anymore, and neither do you. The place that turned my wife into a sculpture, I, Ning Cheng, will turn it into dust. Shi Qionghua is a descendant of my Shi clan. What does her life and death have to do with you? Even if she is your Dao companion, you are still a descendant of my Shi clan. How dare you bully the ancestors of my Shi clan? Ning Cheng spoke up with an even colder voice. Even Shi Xiangjuan doesn't dare to act in front of me. Who do you think you are? You are just an abandoned daughter left behind by Shi Xiangjuan. If it weren't for Shi Qionghua also coming from the same sect, Ning Cheng would have already cursed it out loud. Chapter 1490. You know my mother, who the hell are you? The shrill voice became a little clearer, but it still carried a hint of fear. Sure enough, Ning Cheng didn't guess wrong. With a snort, he casually swept up a surging Dao charm. After he smashed the severing thought platform, the reincarnation passage began to crack. Kaka sounds emerged, and the Dao charm in the passage began to shatter, causing everything to collapse. Stop! The trembling voice turned sharp again. Not only was it sharp, but it was also filled with fear. Stop? Ning Cheng sneered. No matter who the other party was to Shi Qionghua, he wouldn't stop even if he destroyed Shi Qionghua's spirit soul and turned her into a statue. Boom boom. The collapse of the reincarnation passage grew more and more intense. At this moment, not only did the Dao charm dissipate, but the passage also collapsed. Even the laws within it began to shatter. Please spare me. Leave my 9 revolving sacred Dao pond lineage. The voice knew that her strength was too far from Ning Cheng's and started to beg for mercy. Ning Cheng could clearly see that this remnant soul was hiding in a bronze mirror. Spare her? Ning Cheng not only wanted to destroy the 9 revolving sacred Dao pond's reincarnation passage, but he also wanted to destroy this mirror and the remnant soul within it. Boom! Ning Cheng punched out again, and the passage next to the mirror shattered. The bronze mirror fell down and floated in the void. There was a horrified image in the bronze mirror, and the image seemed to be begging for mercy. Ning Cheng guessed that this mirror was most likely the 9 revolving sacred Dao Pond's weapon. Even if it was the 9 revolving sacred Dao Pond, he wouldn't care about it. He still raised his fist, and the Dao charm wrapped around it. He was about to punch out. Just when Ning Cheng's fist was about to hit the mirror, he suddenly stopped and looked behind him. Now that you're here, say what you want. I don't have time to talk to you. Thank you, Dao Lord Ning, for showing mercy. An anxious voice was heard, and a slender figure appeared after the voice. Shi Xiangjuan greets Dao Lord Ning. As soon as the figure landed on the ground, she bowed and greeted Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng just nodded casually and didn't speak any nonsense. If nothing had happened to Qianghua, he would have given Shi Xiangjuan some face. But now that Shi Xiangjuan's illegitimate daughter turned Qianghua into a statue, how could he let it go? Even if Shi Xiangjuan came, he would still kill her. Shi Xiangjuan's realm hadn't changed, but Ning Cheng knew that her strength had more than doubled compared to when he first met her. Not only that, but the Dao charm around her had become more solid and clear, indicating that her future achievements would be even higher. It seemed that she had gained a lot in the chaotic inner realm. When Shi Xiangjuan saw Shi Qianghua in Ning Cheng's hands, she instantly understood why Ning Cheng was so respectful towards her before, and even addressed her as senior. The reason why people respected her was not because of her, Shi Xiangjuan, but because her descendants had a relationship with Ning Cheng. Now that the descendant of the Shi clan, who had a relationship with Ning Cheng, was injured by his daughter, it would be strange if Ning Cheng let it go so easily. She had experienced the treasure hunt in the chaotic inner realm and had a clear understanding of Ning Cheng's situation in the chaotic inner realm. Not only did Ning Cheng snatch away a primordial Dao charm, but he also calmly retreated under the sneak attack of 4 peak powerhouses. But Cheng was that he. If she wanted to say, if Ning if he and the woman, Ning Cheng was waiting for her to deal with this matter. If the woman in Ning Cheng's hand couldn't wake up, then no matter what Shi Tian has said, it would be useless. After the shadow in the mirror saw Shi Xiangjuan, it suddenly stopped trembling in fear. Instead, it screamed in a vague voice, "Am I? Too much? What did you do to me? I'm just a remnant of your greed for a night of pleasure. You abandoned me for the sake of the great Tao. If it weren't for the sake of making up for your guilt, would you have left the 9 revolutions sacred Dao Pond to me? I swear that one day, I will tell you that no one cares about me. I can still step onto the supreme great Tao." Because of the excitement, the figure in the mirror became blurrier. Shi Xiangjuan's face turned pale. She raised her hand and shot out dozens of Dao charm auras to seal the bronze mirror. The image in the mirror gradually faded away. Shi Xiangjuan didn't say a word. Instead, she kept slapping it. Soon, the mirror changed and slowly turned into a pool surrounded by mist. This pool reminded Ning Cheng of the pool he had seen in the 9 revolutions sacred Dao Pond. Shi Xiangjuan's face turned even paler. After the 9 revolutions sacred Dao Pond appeared, she said to Ning Cheng, "Dao Lord Ning, what's her name? Give her to me." Ning Cheng understood what Shi Xiangjuan wanted to do. She wanted to retrieve Shi Qianghua's soul from the 9 revolutions sacred Dao Pond's weapon. Ning Cheng felt excited in his heart. He hadn't thought of this. Fortunately, Shi Xiangjuan came. Otherwise, even if he thought of this, he wouldn't have found a way to retrieve Shi Qianghua's essence spirit soul. Even if he suddenly controlled Shi Xiangjuan's daughter, it wouldn't help. Apart from Shi Xiangjuan, who could take back this mirror from her daughter without any accident, no one else could do it. The 9 revolutions Samsara Pond was almost equivalent to a part of Qiushi. Once he refined it or took control of it, any thoughts or soul within it would disappear. At that time, Shi Qianghua's spirit soul would truly perish. Her name is Shi Qianghua. After Ning Cheng finished, he carefully handed Shi Qianghua to Shi Xiangjuan. Shi Xiangjuan also carefully took Shi Qianghua. She could feel Shi Qianghua's position in Ning Cheng's heart. At this moment, she even felt a little envious. The reason why she abandoned everything to seek the great Tao was not only related to the great Tao she cultivated, but also to the man who abandoned her. Shi Xiangjuan forcibly cut off these messy memories and sent Shi Qianghua into the mist over the 9 revolutions sacred Tao pond. After the layers of mist wrapped around Shi Qianghua, Shi Xiangjuan kept blasting out hand seals. Although Ning Cheng hadn't cultivated the 9 revolutions sacred Tao formula, his vision and understanding of the great Tao far surpassed Shi Xiangjuan's. After a few breaths, he understood Shi Xiangjuan's actions. Shi Xiangjuan was searching for Shi Qianghua's aura and Kanyang's soul aura within the 9 revolutions samsara pond. Although Ning Cheng didn't continue, the Tao charm Ning Cheng shot out before still affected the samsara Tao path. The samsara Tao charm and laws within the samsara Tao continued to shatter and collapse. On the 49th day, Shi Xiangjuan finally stopped her hand seals. She raised her hand and put Shi Qianghua into Ning Cheng's hands. Tao Lord Ning, Qianghua's great Tao has been destroyed, but I still have the 9 revolutions sacred Tao. Ning Cheng took Shi Qianghua and shook his head at Shi Xiangjuan, stopping Shi Xiangjuan from continuing. At this time, Qianghua still had her eyes closed, but she no longer looked like a cold sculpture. Instead, she had a trace of life aura. Her whole body also softened, but she didn't open her eyes. Ning Cheng understood Qianghua's situation. Although Qianghua's soul had returned, it was severely damaged and needed nourishment. It was best to stay between heaven and earth, absorb the laws of heaven and earth, and then use a top-grade soul-nourishing treasure. For Ning Cheng, he had many ways to nourish the soul. Shi Xiangjuan obviously knew that Ning Cheng could do it better than her, so she didn't explain. Ning Cheng sneered at Shi Xiangjuan's words about the 9 revolutions sacred Tao technique. Qianghua had experienced many hardships and almost died several times, all because she cultivated the 9 revolutions sacred Tao technique, a garbage cultivation method. Without the 9 revolutions sacred Tao technique, how could Qianghua have so many things to deal with? Many thanks, Tao friend Xiangjuan. As for the 9 revolutions sacred Tao technique, don't give it to Qianghua. Qianghua's foundation is now damaged, so I will give her another cultivation method. Shi Xiangjuan bowed to Ning Cheng. Although she is a descendant of my Shi clan, Xiangjuan has the greatest responsibility for this matter. Xiangjuan doesn't dare to plead with Tao Lord Ning. If Tao Lord wants to take Qiuxi away, Xiangjuan will leave this 9 revolutions sacred Tao pond to Tao Lord. Ning Cheng spoke up calmly. You arrived in time to prevent Qianghua's spiritual soul from perishing. I am already grateful to you. As for your unfilial daughter, you can take her back and raise her. Many thanks for Tao Lord Ning's magnanimity. Xiangjuan will take her leave. Shi Xiangjuan thanked him once again. She didn't come to the 5 grand worlds for her daughter, but to visit Ning Cheng. She wanted to follow Ning Cheng to the gate of good fortune. Now that something like this happened, even if she had thick skin, she wouldn't be able to bring it up again. Ning Cheng ignored Shi Xiangjuan. He directly tore through the Grand Simplicity Void with Shi Qianghua and landed in the Grand Essence Realm. Chapter 1491. As soon as Ning Cheng stepped into the Grand Essence Realm, Luofei and Yan Ji immediately flew out of the Grand Essence Mountain. Apparently, they had been waiting for Ning Cheng to return. Behind Luofei and Yan Ji, Ruolan, Chu Manha, Tao Lord Proud Dance, Ao Kan, and the others came out to greet them. Big brother. The moment Ning Ruolan saw Ning Cheng, her heart finally fell to the ground. Then she noticed Shi Qianghua in Ning Cheng's arms. Husband, what happened to elder sister Qianghua? Ji Luofei also saw Shi Qianghua in Ning Cheng's arms and asked in a nervous manner. Something happened to her when she reached the 3rd step. Let's go back and talk about it. Ning Cheng's words abruptly paused before he frowned and asked, What's the matter with Brother Kong? His spiritual consciousness instantly sensed that Kong Zai was in the middle of healing, and his injuries were not light. Looking at Kong Zai's appearance, this injury seemed to have been sustained a long time ago. It was Zhu Yinghua. 50,000 years after the Chaos Inner Realm opened, Zhu Yinghua suddenly came to the Grand Essence Realm. She wanted to destroy Grand Essence. In the end, Senior Kong Zai took action and fought with that woman outside the Grand Essence realm. Unexpectedly, Senior Kong Zai was not that woman's match. Later, Senior Shin Yun arrived in time to help. In the end, the two of them were at a disadvantage against that woman. Chu Manha hurriedly explained. Although Ning Qing did not know much about Zhu Yinghua, but he knew that she was an extremely vicious woman. In order to achieve their goals, they would do anything. If she defeated Kong Zai and Shin Yun, she would never leave the Grand Essence realm behind. What happened next? Ning Qing knew that the Grand Essence realm was safe and sound, and Zhu Yinghua should have been blocked. But he still felt some lingering fear in his heart. For Zhu Yinghua to be able to defeat the combined forces of Earth Dao Lord Shin Yun and Dao Lord Human King, her strength must have increased tremendously. The only explanation was that this woman had also obtained great benefits in the chaotic inner realm. Fortunately, Qin Mutian didn't come. If Qin Mutian came, the Grand Essence realm would have long since ceased to exist. In the 5 grand realms, no one could stop Qin Mutian. Ning Qing made up his mind to improve the Grand Essence realm no matter what. Then, he would upgrade the Grand Essence realm's barrier protecting Grand Array once again. Perfecting the Grand Essence realm lacked balance, so he didn't want to wait any longer. Previously, he had been powerless without the balanced soil, but now that he had succeeded in merging the 2 realms, he could do nothing. Even if he lacked the earth balance, he could still use his supreme Great Tao laws to perfect the Grand Essence realm. Ning Rulin from the side spoke up. Later on, a very eccentric person arrived. He immediately helped Senior Kong and Senior Shin. Right, big brother, I think I saw Gray Toot Toot. He is on the shoulder of that strange man. It's just that their battle is so intense that I can't see clearly. Rulin, are you sure that it was Gray Toot Toot? Ning Qing was surprised in his heart as he quickly asked. Ning Rulin hesitated for a moment before speaking up with some uncertainty. I'm not sure, but I can feel that it was very close to me. However, after that strange person was defeated, Zhu Yinghua chased after him, and the two of them never returned. Senior Kong and Senior Shin were both seriously injured in that battle and have been recuperating until today. Rulin, conjure the image of that strange person for me to see. Before leaving the Grand Essence realm, Kong Zai was the strongest among his friends. Who else was stronger than Kong Zai? Ning Rulin raised her hand and condensed a vague image before saying, "This is the senior who helped us." But because the battle's Dao charm was too powerful, I couldn't see it clearly. On the side, Chu Manha modified the image condensed by Ning Rulin a few times, and the blurry image became slightly clearer. This is Big Brother Tsang Wei. Ning Qing cried out in excitement. He had wondered who would help the Grand Essence realm, and it turned out to be Tsang Wei. Tsang Wei must have come to Grand Essence because he heard that he was in Grand Essence realm. Ning Qing didn't expect that Tsang Wei would fight Zhu Yinghua before even seeing him. Big brother, do you know this senior who helped us? Ning Rulin quickly asked. Ning Qing nodded solemnly. Yes, not only do I know him, but the reason why I could return to Earth and take you away was also because of Big Brother Tsang Wei's help. I owe him a great debt of gratitude. Ning Rulin exclaimed and immediately said, that woman went after Big Brother Tsang Wei. Doesn't that mean Big Brother Tsang Wei is in danger? What should we do? Ning Rulin and Ning Qing both took benevolence very seriously. According to her big brother, if it weren't for Big Brother Tsang Wei, she wouldn't have seen her big brother again in this life. In the true cultivation world, not to mention decades, even tens of thousands of years passed in a blink of an eye. After tens of thousands of years, even if her big brother returned to Earth, she would have already turned into a skeleton. After confirming that it was Tsang Wei who helped, Ning Qing started to worry. At this time, he was almost sure that the companion beast on Tsang Wei's shoulder was Gray Toot Toot. Gray Toot Toot also knew Tsang Wei. If they met, it would naturally follow Tsang Wei. Big brother Tsang Wei is in danger. I have to save him no matter what. Aoken. Ning Qing took out a jade box as he spoke. Big brother, please instruct me. Although Aoken didn't speak, Ning Qing's words were his everything. Ning Cheng handed the jade box to Ao Kan. This is Association Master Lu's body-shaping treasure, the soul-gathering immortal lotus. Help me take it to the mysterious yellow heavens beyond. Also, leave some for Liao Qianluo. His corporeal body was destroyed for the sake of the Grand Change realm. Big brother, don't worry. I will definitely get this done. After Ao Kan finished, he didn't delay and went straight to the teleportation array. Now that the Grand Essence realm and the mysterious yellow heavens beyond were connected by several planar teleportation arrays, it wouldn't take a few years to travel back and forth. As soon as Ao Kan left, Ning Cheng quickly stepped forward and said, "Brother Kong, your injuries haven't healed yet. Why did you come out?" At this time, Kong Zai stepped out of the void of the mysterious yellow sect. However, the Tao charm around his body was scattered, and his strength was far worse than when he first came. "Brother Ning, I'm relieved to see you back. My injuries aren't a problem. I didn't know how much worse my injuries were back then, but I still survived." Kong Zai landed in front of Ning Cheng and spoke with a smile. Ning Cheng felt annoyed. Back in the chaotic inner world, he didn't find many top-grade healing treasures. Kong Zai continued, "This time, Shin Yun and I had to thank that friend who helped us. Otherwise, the two of us wouldn't have been Zhu Yinghua's opponent. That friend who helped us wasn't any weaker than Zhu Yinghua. But when he helped us, he was already injured, which allowed the three of us to barely block Zhu Yinghua's attacks. Moreover, he brought out the opening heaven talisman to lure Zhu Yinghua away and prevent her from attacking Tai Su." When Ning Cheng heard that Song Wei's strength wasn't any weaker than Zhu Yinghua's, he immediately felt overjoyed. With Song Wei's strength, who could injure Song Wei? Seeing Ning Cheng pondering, Kong Zai spoke again, that Zhu Yinghua should have chased Song Wei for an opening heaven talisman. "I don't think it would be easy for Zhu Yinghua to catch up to Song Wei, but I don't have to worry about it. After I recover, I'm going to take a trip to the chaotic inner world with Shin Yun to try my luck and see if I can get some leftovers." "Brother Kong, if you hadn't mentioned it, I would have forgotten about it." Ning Cheng quickly took out a ring and swept it with his spiritual sense. Ning Cheng immediately tore open the ring's restriction. He had snatched the fat monk's ring, but because he was with Luofei and Yen Ji, he didn't open the ring to check it. Although he didn't obtain the fat monk's world, most of the things that the fat monk obtained in the chaotic inner world were temporarily stored inside the ring. How long did this fellow plunder in the chaotic inner world? When Ning Cheng saw the things inside the fat monk's ring, he couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. It was like another radiant storehouse. Perhaps the top-grade treasures inside might not be as many as the radiant storehouse, but there was nothing bad about it. Heavenly Phoenix Buddha's Eye, Azure Dragon Crystal, Samsara Earth, there were even 2 Primal Chaos Essence fruits, which were top-grade healing treasures. No matter how strong one's cultivation was, as long as one's Tao charm sustained damage to one's life essence, spiritual soul and sea of consciousness suffered heavy damage, one Tao fruit could solve the problem. Ning Cheng raised his hand and grabbed a Primal Chaos Essence fruit. But before he could hand over the essence fruit to Kong Zai, he was shocked by a small tree nail. He quickly threw the essence fruit to Kong Zai and reached out to grab the tree nail from the ring. This is the creation wood nail. Kong Zai didn't have time to marvel at the Primal Chaos Essence fruit when he saw the tree nail in Ning Cheng's hand and exclaimed. Chapter 1492. Senior Kong, what is a builderwood nail? Ning Rulin asked. Although Ning Cheng and Kong Zai's friendship was not shallow, and they even addressed each other as brothers, Ning Rulin still respectfully addressed Kong Zai as senior. Kong Zai said solemnly, "I don't know as much about the creation tree as Tao Lord Earth. Brother Shen is definitely one of the people in this universe who knows the creation tree the best. Brother Shen is already here, let's see what he has to say." Ning Cheng also saw Shin Yun coming over, but Shin Yun did not live in the mysterious yellow sect. However, Ning Cheng did not doubt Kong Zai's words. Shin Yun was a grand Tao Lord. When it came to spiritual objects that grew on the earth, no one was more proficient than the Earth Tao Lord. While Kong Zai spoke, Shin Yun stepped out of the void and cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng. Shen Yun greets Dao Lord Ning. Congratulations on improving your strength. Elder brother Shin, you seem to have escaped from a faraway place? As soon as Shen Yun landed in front of him, Ning Qing could feel that Shen Yun's aura was somewhat chaotic. Shen Yun was already injured. At this moment, the Dao runes around him were even more chaotic. Shen Yun's expression was slightly awkward as he said, "Indeed, I met an expert in the void. In a battle, I was actually not a match for him. Fortunately, that guy was also injured, so I escaped all the way back to the Grand Essence Realm. Originally." Kong Zai snorted. "You wanted to drag me down with you, didn't you?" Shen Yun looked a little embarrassed. "Brother Kong, as long as you and I are here, together with Tai Su's protective array, we can definitely block that guy." Kong Zai continued to snort. "In your dreams. I won't offend a ruthless person for your trivial matter." Shen Yun chuckled. Now that Dao Lord Ning is back, no one will be stupid enough to deal with the Grand Essence Realm. Everyone understood what Shen Yun meant. Ning Cheng was in the Grand Essence Realm, and anyone who wanted to cause trouble in the Grand Essence Realm would only be courting death. Ning Cheng did not care about it. Even if Qin Mutian came, he would not feel any fear. Not to mention a guy who fought with Shen Yun and let Shen Yun escape. He just opened his palm and asked, "Brother Shen, thank you for blocking Zhu Yinghua and protecting the Grand Essence Realm. May I ask if Brother Shen recognizes this?" Before Ning Cheng could finish, Shen Yun exclaimed, "Dao Lord Ning, where did you get the creation wood nails?" Ning Cheng knew that this nail was definitely not ordinary. Moreover, he had also heard of the name creation wood. However, he really didn't know the detailed description of the creation wood and the origin of the creation wood nail. "I would like to ask Brother Shen to enlighten me, what is this building wood nail?" As Ning Cheng spoke, he placed the building wood nail in Shen Yun's hands. Shen Yun held the creation wood nail excitedly and muttered to himself. After a while, he came back to his senses and said, "The creation wood is the supreme tree of the five-element universe. It balances all life in the main universe. Legend has it that the world tree grew at the peak of the five elements universe. In the end, Du Mo found it." "Who is Du Mo?" Ning Cheng asked. A look of respect appeared in Shen Yun's eyes. In terms of fame and power, the 5 sages and the 10 Dao Lords aren't as famous as Du Mo. Du Mo has another title, the 5 Elements Divine Lord. 5 Elements Sacred Lord? Ning Cheng immediately thought of Qin Mutian. Qin Mutian was the Light and Darkness Sacred Lord. Since Du Mo was the 5 Elements Sacred Lord, then he shouldn't be any weaker than Qin Mutian. After Du Mo obtained the creation wood, his strength skyrocketed. Almost no one could match his cultivation. However, the news of the creation would also spread out. Later, many powerhouses came looking for Du Mo, wanting to divide the creation wood equally. Du Mo rejected these people without hesitation. In Du Mo's opinion, he didn't need to fear any powerhouses with his strength. However, this refusal led to a huge battle. At this point, Shen Yun raised the builder wood nail in his hand and said, Du Mo quickly paid the price for being so domineering. The experts who came looking for Du Mo were all supreme level experts with the most powerful treasures. Although Du Mo didn't fear any of them in a one-on-one fight, facing so many powerhouses, Du Mo's fists couldn't match 4 hands. Under the siege of so many powerhouses, his corporeal body shattered and his spiritual soul collapsed. Shen Yun sighed. In the end, Du Mo had to turn the creation wood nail into the creation wood nail to fight against the enemies. Although those powerhouses were powerful, they suffered heavy injuries when they joined forces to deal with Du Mo. Under the attack of the creation wood nail, they suddenly collapsed and suffered heavy casualties. A few of them even escaped with heavy injuries. As for the outcome, no one knows. Senior Shen Yun, who besieged the sacred master of 5 elements. Ning Rulin asked. She cared about this ancient past the most. Shen Yun thought about it for a while before speaking. The information I saw wasn't very complete. I only know that one was the Buddhist Lord of the Western Universe, and the other was the sacred master of the Light and Dark Universe and heavenly venerate Styx River. Ning Cheng secretly marveled in his heart. What kind of powerhouses were fighting for the creation wood? Ning Cheng's strength couldn't compare to these powerhouses. He knew that the sacred master of the light and dark universe that Xin Yun mentioned wasn't Qin Mutian, but the person before Qin Mutian. He had been to the light and dark universe and knew that the reason Qin Mutian could become the sacred master of the light and dark universe was because he killed his original master. Ning Cheng had always wondered about it. It wasn't as if there weren't any slaves who killed their masters, but he could imagine how difficult it was. No matter how good Qin Mutian's qualifications were, no matter how good his opportunities were, he couldn't kill the real sacred master of light and dark universe. But after listening to Xin Yun's words, he finally understood. The reason why Qin Mutian killed the original sacred master of the light and dark universe wasn't because the sacred master was weak, but because the sacred master had suffered serious injuries during the battle with the sacred master of the five elements universe. After the sacred master of light and dark universe suffered serious injuries, he naturally fled back to the light and dark universe to heal. He didn't expect that his slaves would rebel and kill him. As for the Buddhist lord of the Western universe, Ning Cheng had heard of him. The fat monk he had killed earlier was the sixth one under this guy's command. Ning Cheng didn't know if this fellow had recovered. If he hadn't, he would probably become a big scourge in the future. Brother Xin, who is this heavenly venerate Styx River? The only person Ning Cheng hadn't heard of was heavenly venerate Styx River. In ancient Chinese mythology, there was a Styx River ancestor, but Ning Cheng wasn't sure if it was the same person. Even Taoist Purple Firmament and Primal Chaos Tao Lord were somewhat different from the original legends. Shen Yun shook his head. That's all I know. As for the origins of Styx River, Sacred Master Light and Dark Universe, and that Buddhist Lord of the Western Universe, I don't know anything about them. Ning Cheng didn't ask any more. He took out another Chaos Essence fruit and handed it to Shen Yun. Brother Shen, thank you for helping Brother Kong protect the Grand Essence Realm. I obtained this essence fruit from the chaotic inner realm. I can use it to heal you. Shen Yun was a Grand Tao Lord. How could he not know about the heaven-defying effects of the Chaos Essence fruit? His eyes lit up with joy, and he quickly thanked Ning Cheng. Many thanks, Tao Lord Ning. I, Shen Yun, am also a Grand Essence person. Anyone who wants to deal with Grand Essence will have to step over my dead body. Shen Yun originally wanted to fuse with the Grand Essence Fusion Realm. But after seeing Ning Cheng's power, he no longer dared to have such thoughts. In the end, he decided to follow Kong Zai's example and find another way to fuse with the realms. Ning Cheng felt the changes in Shen Yun. He raised his hand and patted Shen Yun. Brother Shen, if you don't mind, we can call each other brothers in the future. In fact, even if you succeed in fusing with a realm, it doesn't have much power. The real fusion realm isn't about fusing with an existing realm, but fusing with your own realm. Shen Yun showed a blank expression. Ning Cheng's words sounded simple, but the path to the great Tao was extremely complicated. Of course, you can fuse with your own realm, but wouldn't it become weaker and weaker? When you condense your own laws, condense your own realm, and then derive a world within your own realm, you will know how powerful it is. It might be difficult, but there is a way you can try. You can use your own law world to derive your own origin. Then, you can cut off the laws you originally comprehended and use your own origin to derive new laws. This will take a long time, maybe tens of millions of years, maybe tens of millions of years. Ning Cheng patiently explained in detail. Not only Shen Yun, but Kong Zai and the others also listened to Ning Cheng's words. Ning Cheng's words planted a seed in their great Tao. Just as Ning Cheng said, it might not germinate now, but who could be sure that they wouldn't become the next 10 Tao Lords and 5 Sacred Masters after countless years? Many thanks, Brother Ning, for dispelling my doubts. Although Shen Yun didn't quite understand what Ning Cheng said, he believed that as long as he accumulated enough time, one day, he would find the path Ning Cheng spoke of. He was more than happy to address Ning Cheng as brother. Ning Cheng and Kong Zai were good friends, and he and Ning Cheng originally had some gaps between them. But now that Ning Cheng took the initiative to give up these gaps, why would he, Shen Yun, hesitate? Ning Cheng smiled and said, "You're welcome. As long as I'm still in the grand essence realm, you can discuss any Tao intent you can't understand with me. After that, Ning Cheng said to Ning Rulan, Rulan, take your sister Qianghua back. I want to recondense the grand essence realm's laws and perfect it. Tao Lord, did you find balance Earth? Li Feng, who had rushed over after hearing the news, called out in joy when she heard that Ning Cheng wanted to perfect the grand essence realm. Behind Li Feng were the other court pillars of the grand essence Tao court, as well as the sect masters of the major sects in the grand essence realm. Ning Cheng quickly stepped forward and greeted Li Feng and the others. Many thanks for your hard work in the grand essence realm while I was away. I haven't found balance Earth yet, but I have another way. I believe it should work. Ning Cheng had to hurry up and repair the grand essence realm. He also wanted to heal Qianghua and even find Song Wei to help. If he didn't perfect the grand essence realm and arrange the realm protecting grand array, he wouldn't be able to leave with peace of mind. Brother Ning, I found balance Earth. While speaking, Xinyun took out a jade box and handed it to Ning Cheng. This is balance Earth. Ning Cheng took the jade box in surprise. He didn't expect Xinyun to obtain balance Earth, which he had never found. Xinyun smiled. The reason why I was chased is because of this thing. Ning Cheng put away the jade box and looked at the void outside the grand essence ruins with a slight smile. The person chasing me actually chased me all the way to the grand essence realm. Let's go out and have a look. Chapter 1493. After Ning Cheng arrived at the void public square outside the grand essence realm, a few breaths of time passed before a man in a golden robe landed. The golden-robed man not only had a strong body, but he was also much taller than the average person. When Ning Cheng saw this golden-robed man, he immediately thought of a descendant of the Pan clan. The golden-robed man apparently didn't expect so many people to be here. His gaze swept around and then lingered on Ning Cheng and Kong Zai for a while. Finally, he fixed his gaze on Xinyun and tried to speak in a calm tone. You're a third-step Tao Lord, yet you actually dared to snatch my balanced soil. Don't you have any face? Xinyun snorted, your balanced soil? Did you write your name on it? We agreed to take the balanced soil together. Since I got the balanced soil, why did you take the opportunity to snatch it? You. The golden-robed man suddenly felt angry, and the Tao charm around him fluctuated. It seemed that he was about to attack again. Ning Cheng felt the Tao charm aura around the golden-robed man, and his heart moved slightly. This Tao charm felt a bit familiar, and it seemed similar to the mysterious yellow formless Tao charm. Do you really want to win by numbers? In that case, come at me together. No matter how many people there are, I, Chang Xiang, am not afraid. The golden-robed man spoke up angrily. After speaking, the imposing aura around him grew even sharper. Ning Cheng suddenly realized that this person was Chang Xiang. He was the first owner of the mysterious yellow bead after mysterious Yellow Gaian abandoned it. However, he didn't pass mysterious Yellow Gaian's assessment and abandoned the mysterious yellow bead again. Ning Cheng didn't expect this fellow to still be alive. It really wasn't an easy task. Tao friend Chang Xiang, you don't have to be angry. Since you and Tao friend Xinyun discovered this balanced soil together, why don't we split it in half? Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness had already checked the balanced soil in the jade box. Even if it was only 1/3, it would be enough for him to repair the grand essence realm. Chang Xiang froze. Although he was angry and ready to fight, he also knew that his chances of winning were extremely slim. Not to mention Xinyun and the powerhouse with the aura of an emperor standing next to Xinyun, Chang Xiang felt that he wasn't this ordinary-looking young man's opponent. He didn't expect this young man to be willing to give him half of the balanced soil. How could he not be willing? Not waiting for Ning Cheng to say it a second time, he quickly cupped his fists and spoke, "Many thanks to this Tao friend, I am willing." Ning Cheng did not hesitate to take out the jade box. After opening it, he took out half of the Hengyang soil and threw it to Chang Xiang. Chang Xiang carefully put away the earth sphere, before he cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng and spoke. In that case, then this Chang Xiang will take his leave. Tao friend Chang Xiang, please wait a moment. Ning Cheng once again called out to Chang Xiang. According to reason, Chang Xiang could indeed obtain half of the Hengyang soil. However, Ning Cheng did not give the Hengyang soil to Chang Xiang because of this, but rather because he wanted to ask Chang Xiang about something. Chang Xiang immediately became vigilant and asked in a deep voice, "Do you have any other advice?" Ning Cheng smiled and said, "Dao friend Chang Xiang, you don't have to worry. If I wanted to make a move, I would have already done so." Chang Xiang said calmly, "Even if we fight, I, Chang Xiang, am not afraid of anyone. Whether it's a group attack or a one-on-one fight, I will take you on." Ning Cheng didn't bother to care about Chang Xiang's arrogant attitude and asked calmly, "Dao friend Chang Xiang has a powerful corporeal body and an astonishing aura. I'm afraid that even the corporeal bodies of the 10 Dao monarchs wouldn't be comparable to it. However, your spiritual force is extremely weak, and you can't even perfectly integrate it with your corporeal body. This severely limits your strength. If your spiritual force improves a little more, and your corporeal body can completely integrate with your spiritual force, I believe that you can even compete for the position of the 10 Dao monarchs. I wonder if Dao friend Chang Xiang can tell me what's going on?" Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Chang Xiang's expression changed drastically, and the aura around him suddenly weakened a lot. Since Ning Cheng could see this, it meant that his strength far surpassed his. Even if he couldn't beat him, he most likely wouldn't be able to escape from this person's hands. How could such a powerful expert be hidden in this small realm? Moreover, Ning Cheng said that he could also compete for the position of the 10 Dao monarchs. This meant that he knew the strength of the 10 Dao monarchs. If he didn't fight against one of the 10 Dao monarchs, how could he know all this? Fighting against the 10 Dao monarchs, even Chang Xiang didn't have the qualifications. Don't look at Ning Cheng being in the unity realm. With Chang Xiang's vision and experience, he naturally wouldn't look at the realm on the surface. There was too much water in this thing. Chang Xiang took a deep breath, and the arrogance in his tone disappeared a lot. His answer also became a lot more cautious. He even cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng and asked, "Chang Xiang hasn't asked for Dao Monarch's title yet." Ning Cheng also cupped his fists and said, "My name is Ning Cheng, and I'm now a Dao Monarch of the Taisu Dao Court. Greetings, Dao Monarch Ning. The reason why my spiritual sense and physical body can't match is because my spiritual sense is weak and my physical body is strong. It's because I initially only cultivated my physical body. As for spiritual sense, it's only recently that I started cultivating it." Chang Xiang tried to ease his tone as much as possible. "So you're from the witch race, and you're cultivating the witch race's cultivation method." Ning Cheng immediately understood when he heard Chang Xiang's words. Only those who cultivated the witch race's cultivation method would not cultivate spiritual sense, or had no way to cultivate spiritual sense. It was no wonder that Chang Xiang could become the strongest person in the mysterious yellow bead apart from mysterious yellow Gaian. Chang Xiang did not cultivate spiritual sense, which meant that the mysterious yellow bead would think that he had never cultivated. At the same time, Ning Cheng also understood where Chang Xiang's cultivation method for spiritual sense came from. It was definitely obtained from the mysterious yellow bead. Only a creation treasure like the mysterious yellow bead could allow the witch race to obtain the method to cultivate spiritual sense. Chang Xiang must have passed the method back to the witch race since he had obtained the method to cultivate spiritual sense. No wonder Kai Ji said that the witch race could now cultivate spiritual sense. It turned out that it was because of Chang Xiang. Chang Xiang had obtained the method to cultivate spiritual sense through the mysterious yellow bead. Could it be that Kai Ji's old friend had also given Kai Ji the method to cultivate spiritual sense because of the creation treasure? Ning Cheng immediately thought of the sacred Dao sect master. Yimo had the golden page of fate, so he could naturally do it. Yimo came from Earth, so was Kai Ji from Earth? Unfortunately, he did not think of this at the time and did not ask more. Chang Xiang secretly admired Ning Cheng's meticulousness. With just a few words, Ning Cheng knew that he was from the witch race. Compared to this person in front of him, Chang Xiang seemed to be much worse. Chang Xiang did not admit or deny Ning Cheng's words. This was the witch race's secret. Ning Cheng guessed it, but he would never say it out loud. Taoist Chang Xiang, if I'm not wrong, Your spiritual sense cultivation method came from the mysterious yellow bead, right? You have courage. After knowing the danger, you abandoned the mysterious yellow bead in time and saved your life, Ning Cheng said calmly as he stared at Chang Xiang. Since he knew that Chang Xiang was from the witch race, Kai Ji might be his old friend. He wanted to give Chang Xiang a little warning and not touch Kai Ji. You know about the mysterious yellow bead? Chang Xiang stared at Ning Cheng with wide eyes. Ning Cheng opened his hand and a bead filled with the aura of the source appeared in his palm. Mysterious yellow bead? You actually have the mysterious yellow bead? Chang Xiang stared at the mysterious yellow bead in Ning Cheng's hand in disbelief. His heart was pounding. He knew how heaven-defying and powerful the mysterious yellow bead was. Ning Cheng kept the mysterious yellow bead calmly. After a while, the greed and desire in Chang Xiang's eyes gradually disappeared. However, there was still a trace of urgency in the corner of his eyes. Obviously, the mysterious yellow bead was too tempting for him. Dao Lord Ning, I didn't manage to leave the mysterious yellow bead. If I hadn't left a trace of my spiritual sense in the witch race, I, Chang Xiang, would no longer exist in this world. Chang Xiang took a deep breath and calmed the strong desire in his heart. Ning Cheng nodded. The witch race was a powerful ancient clan. It was normal for them to have treasures that could restore Chang Xiang's body and cultivation. Dao Lord Ning, you have to be careful of the mysterious yellow Gaian. If the mysterious yellow bead is in your hands... No, the mysterious yellow Gaian definitely knows that the mysterious yellow bead is in your hands. Before Chang Xiang could finish speaking, Ning Cheng waved his hand and said, I'm afraid that he won't come looking for me. If he does, I'll settle the score with him. Dao friend Chang Xiang, I have a few questions to ask you. Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Chang Xiang sucked in a breath of cold air. Ning Cheng wasn't even afraid of the mysterious yellow holy master. From Ning Cheng's tone, it was obvious that he had met the mysterious yellow holy master and even fought with him. After fighting with the mysterious yellow holy master, Ning Cheng was still standing here safe and sound. How terrifying was that? In Chang Xiang's eyes, the mysterious yellow holy master was a nightmare, a supreme powerhouse. Ning Cheng didn't even fear such a powerhouse. Chang Xiang suddenly had an idea. He wanted to invite Ning Cheng to the witch race and then help the witch race stand tall in the universe again. Only a powerhouse like Ning Cheng could do such a big thing. Based on his years of experience in the outside world, he knew that the Magi lacked powerful friends. With the idea of asking Ning Cheng, Chang Xiang's tone and actions suddenly became respectful and polite. He bowed to Ning Cheng and said, Dao Lord Ning, please ask. Chang Xiang will tell you everything he knows. Ning Cheng didn't know what Chang Xiang was thinking, but he could guess that Chang Xiang feared the mysterious yellow Gaian. Dao friend Chang Xiang, your witch race is also a big clan. I want to ask you something. Do you know where to enter the Western universe? Ning Cheng also asked politely. Western universe? Chang Xiang was shocked. He immediately cupped his fists and said, Dao Lord Ning, I only heard that there is a holy Buddha Chu Pu in the Western universe. I don't know much about it. If Dao Lord Ning wants to know more, you can go to my witch race. My race's ancestral emperor will definitely know about it. After answering, Chang Xiang hesitated a little and added, Dao Lord Ning has amazing spiritual power, so you naturally have nothing to fear. I suggest that Dao Lord not provoke the powerhouses of the Western universe. Their Dao force is completely different from ours and they are very powerful. Ning Cheng nodded. Thank you, Dao friend Chang Xiang. I naturally won't provoke them. By the way, I heard from my friend that the witch race has a peerless genius woman who is no less than the 5 sacred masters. Is it because she cultivated the spiritual force cultivation technique that you took out? Chang Xiang's face suddenly showed a proud expression. You're talking about Fairy Qing, right? She only used the witch race's cultivation technique and obtained the Dao in the witch race's treasure land. In terms of strength, I am far inferior to her. Chapter 1494. Isn't Fairy Qing from the witch race? Ning Cheng asked in doubt. If she was from the witch race, she definitely wouldn't have used the witch race's cultivation method and cultivation place. But if she wasn't from the witch race, how could she obtain a cultivation method from the witch race? Chang Xiang replied respectfully, because Ji He, the descendant of my witch race's ancestor Ji, was imprisoned by sacred Master Green Lotus's child. That woman was vicious and even forced my witch race's disciples to guard the sky pillar. If that woman hadn't been delayed by something and couldn't return to her cave in time, allowing Fairy Qing to find He, I'm afraid that He would still be suppressed under the sky pillar. Is the woman you're talking about Xingxi? Ning Cheng asked immediately. Chang Xiang nodded. Yes, that vicious woman is Xingxi. I heard that this woman seized the inheritance of sacred Master Green Lotus and obtained the good fortune Green Lotus, calling herself Sacred Master Green Lotus. Moreover, she overestimated herself and tried to break through the sky pillar. If the sky pillar was taken away, I'm afraid that the entire Five Elements universe would collapse. What's Fairy Qing's name? Ning Cheng clenched his fists and felt a little strange. He thought of Yu Qing. When he escaped from Jiangsha City, Yu Qing was in Jiangsha City. Too many things happened after that, and he never had a chance to find Yu Qing. If Xingxi found Jiangsha City, she would most likely take Yu Qing away. If Xingxi took Yu Qing away, then Fairy Qing would most likely be Yu Qing. Her name is Yu Qing, and Xingxi accepted her as a disciple. Fortunately, Fairy Qing left with He. Otherwise, I'm afraid she wouldn't have been able to escape Xingxi's clutches. Chang Xiang also felt Ning Cheng's excitement, but he didn't know what was going on. Sure enough, it was Yu Qing. Ning Cheng felt hatred in his heart. He didn't kill Xingxi in the chaotic void back then. Xingxi most likely took Yu Qing away to lure him out. At the same time, Ning Cheng also understood why Yu Qing could cultivate so quickly in the witch race. Chang Xiang's spiritual sense cultivation method and the cultivation method he passed to Yu Qing both originated from the good fortune mysterious yellow bead. Coupled with the witch race's top-grade resources and Yu Qing's supreme qualifications, it wasn't surprising for her to progress so quickly. Ning Cheng calmed down the excitement in his heart, cupped his fists, and said, Dao friend Chang Xiang, I want to repair the Grand Essence Realm. After completing the Grand Essence Realm, I want to go to your clan to visit Sorcerer Ancestor. I wonder if this Dao friend can wait for a while? No matter what, he had to see Yu Qing again. In addition, he wanted to find out more about the Western Universe, so he had to make a trip to the Witch Tribe. Dao Lord Ning wishes to repair a world? Extreme delight immediately appeared on Chang Xiang's face. He had already seen the Grand Essence Realm, and it was definitely a world plane with an incredibly high level of laws in the world. Compared to the place where the Sorcerer Ancestor resided, the laws of the heaven and earth here were stronger. The only thing missing was the fragmented and incomplete Grand Essence Realm's laws. Since Ning Cheng could repair the Grand Essence Realm, it showed how powerful his cultivation and cultivation were. He was born in the Witch Tribe. Even if he recultivated his spiritual force, it would be impossible for him to repair a world. Now that he could see an expert restoring a top-notch domain, how could he not be happy? This kind of opportunity might not come by in a lifetime. Once they met, it would be an unparalleled opportunity. Ning Cheng cautiously said, Yes, I do want to repair the Grand Essence Realm. Previously, Dao Lord Xinyun looked for balanced soil in preparation for me to repair the Grand Essence Realm. Chang Xiang said eagerly, I'm naturally willing to wait. I wonder if Dao Lord Ning would allow me to watch from the sidelines? He wanted to befriend Ning Cheng and invite him to the Witch Tribe as a guest. Even if Ning Cheng didn't let him watch how to repair the Grand Essence Realm, he would still wait for Ning Cheng. Now that he had such an opportunity, how could he miss it? Ning Cheng smiled. Anyone can watch me repair the Grand Essence Realm. Let's go back to Grand Essence Realm. At this time, not only Chang Xiang, but everyone in the Grand Essence Realm was overjoyed. The news that Dao Lord Grand Essence wanted to repair the Grand Essence Realm spread throughout the entire Grand Essence Realm in a few breaths. At this moment, everyone put down what they were doing and waited for Dao Lord Ning to repair the Grand Essence Realm. Rulin, give me Sister Qianghua. Ning Cheng carefully took Shi Qianghua from Ning Ruolan's hands. Qianghua's vitality had returned, but it would take a long time for her to wake up. This time, he wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to repair the Grand Essence realm to give both Qianghua and Grand Essence a new life. When Ning Cheng stood alone in the void of the Grand Essence realm, the entire Grand Essence realm turned quiet. Whether it was cultivators or demonic beasts, everyone knew that the biggest event in the history of the Grand Essence realm was about to happen. As long as the Grand Essence realm was repaired, they would no longer have to look for a place with more perfect heaven and earth laws to advance or wander the void. Ning Cheng slowly released Qianghua's hands, and Shi Qianghua quietly floated in front of Ning Cheng. Stabilizing soil, releasing soil, gung soil, balance soil and breath soil, 5 kinds of primal chaos soil, all suspended around Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng formed a series of hand seals, and Dao charms slowly spread out from his body. The 5 soils also began to dissolve slowly. At this time, Ning Cheng took out a drop of 5-element spirit water. The entire void of the Grand Essence realm began to rumble. At this time, whether it was the Grand Essence ruins, Grand Essence domain, or even the Grand Essence sea, the laws of heaven and earth began to search. Ning Cheng shot out a new aura of laws, which quickly merged with the 5 soils and merged with the entire world. It was as if an invisible hand and endless heaven and earth Dao charm had merged the broken and incomplete laws of heaven and earth together, and the 5 elements laws began to perfect. Some of the more powerful cultivators were shocked to discover that the broken and fragmented laws of heaven and earth had suddenly reconnected at this moment. Cultivators with lower cultivation could only feel the laws of heaven and earth more clearly, which made it easier for them to comprehend the Grand Tao. Everyone excitedly felt the changes in the surrounding space. Even some spiritual plants swayed at this moment, frantically looking for an opportunity to grow within the perfect laws of heaven and earth. But this was just the beginning. The moment the laws of heaven and earth became clearer, the Dao charm around Ning Cheng's body grew even richer, and the aura of the Grand Tao grew even more majestic. Just like a newborn baby, the Grand Essence realm started to grow crazily. The mysterious very ancient clan's annual rings suddenly split open and turned into endless life force aura that merged with the entire Grand Essence realm. Ning Cheng also took out the 7 Bridges Realm book, and the 7 Bridges Realm book turned into 7 vaguely arched bridges. Then, a faintly discernible passage connected to the arched bridges, and the endless Een spirit aura crazily poured into the passage along the 7 arched bridges. After the passage, all the laws of the underworld realm began to collapse. Several powerful Een spirits, who wanted to resist the collapse of the laws, turned into powder under Ning Cheng's Dao charm and dissipated without a trace. Amid this collapsing sound, new laws began to emerge. The vast Dao charm of the laws of heaven and earth condensed into 7 new bridges in the shortest time. The underworld realm's laws began to take shape, and the Dao charm also began to rumble. The Dao charm aura in Ning Cheng's hands grew more complex and powerful, and the reincarnation passage completely took shape at this moment. The underworld realm also started to condense. Everyone excitedly felt the gradually perfecting laws of heaven and earth around them and felt a clearer perception of the Grand Tao. Some even fantasized about how long they would need to go into seclusion after the laws of heaven and earth in the Grand Essence realm were perfected. The Grand Essence realm would soon be restored, and the entire Grand Essence realm would benefit from it, whether it was human cultivators, demonic cultivators, or spirit plants. Li Feng trembled with excitement. Even though the mysterious very ancient clan had contributed the growth ring, he still couldn't contain the joy in his heart. He didn't expect that this matter would really come true. When Ning Cheng said that he wanted to restore the Grand Essence realm, he just wanted to do his best to help Ning Cheng. No matter whether he succeeded or not, he had no regrets. Just like Ning Cheng said, if he couldn't complete it, he would leave it to his descendants. As long as he kept working hard, one day, the Grand Essence realm would be restored. Now that he was still alive, he had even stepped into the Dao integration realm. Moreover, the Grand Essence realm would also be restored at this time. He no longer had to leave this matter to his descendants. Li Feng finally couldn't hold back the excitement and ecstasy in his heart and knelt on the ground. At this moment, he not only thanked Ningcheng but also the perfected Grand Essence Realm's heaven and earth laws, as well as his lifelong wish and hope for the Grand Essence Realm. After Li Feng, one cultivator after another knelt on the ground. Even the demonic beasts of the Grand Essence Demon Domain all knelt on the ground. Moreover, those seemingly endless spiritual plants also bent down in the direction of Ningcheng. Heaven and earth laws combine. Ningcheng gave a shout, and the entire Grand Essence Realm's heaven and earth turned clear. A continuous drizzle fell from the sky, bringing with it a rich fusion of heaven and earth spirit chi. This is the spirit rain formed from the fusion of heaven and earth laws. It's almost equivalent to primal chaos chi. As someone exclaimed, everyone crazily absorbed the fusion of heaven and earth laws from the world's spirit rain. Ningcheng waved his hand, and the spirit rain essence filled with spiritual aura fell on Shi Qionghua's body. Shi Qionghua's life force grew stronger and stronger, and in less than an incense stick worth of time, Shi Qionghuo opened her eyes. The first thing she saw was Ningcheng standing in front of her, causing her to burst into tears. But at this time, she had lost her cultivation and couldn't rush into Ningcheng's arms. Ningcheng had already reached out and hugged Shi Qionghuo. He then said softly, "Qionghuo, the past is the past. From today onwards, you will no longer have anything to do with the past." Shi Qionghuo couldn't even say a word. She just hugged Ningcheng excitedly and cried. When she gave up on cutting off her feelings with Ningcheng, her grand Tao broke, her life force dissipated, and her body turned into a statue. She thought that she would never see Ningcheng again in this life. But even if she had to do it all over again, she would still do the same. If she couldn't miss Ningcheng, then what was the point of living? If the heavenly Tao didn't abandon her, then she would still meet Ningcheng one day. She could even give up on her grand Tao, so what did her past cultivation count for? It was just a fleeting cloud. She only wanted Ningcheng. Chapter 1495. On this day, the entire Grand Essence Realm cheered. Ningcheng took Shi Qionghua's hand and landed on the mysterious Yellow Sect's main peak, the mysterious Yellow Peak. After completing the Grand Essence Realm, he would immediately rearrange the Grand Essence Realm's boundary protecting Grand Array. At this moment, most of the people from the mysterious Yellow Sect and the Grand Essence Tao Court had already arrived here. Li Feng even rushed ahead and spoke up with excitement. "Tao Monarch, you did it. You really did it. You've perfected our Grand Essence Realm." Of the 5 great realms, except for the Tai Yi realm, which suffered very little damage and was almost unaffected by the laws of heaven and earth, the other 4 realms suffered varying degrees of damage. But now, only the Grand Essence Realm was restored. Everyone knew that it was all thanks to Ningcheng. It's not just me. Everyone has to work together to restore the Grand Essence Realm. In a while, I will have to rearrange the Grand Essence Realm's protective array, and I will need everyone's help. Ningcheng cupped his fists. Ningcheng didn't act pretentious. After all, this wasn't his work alone. Since he proposed to restore the Grand Essence Realm, many people had been working hard to restore the Grand Essence Realm. Whether it was the search for the 5 soils or the contribution of the mysterious crossing ancient clan's annual ring tree. Tao Lord Ning, please feel free to instruct us. I believe that everyone like me is eager for the Grand Essence Realm to be a cultivation holy land. River Luo Sacred Sect's sect master Wang Huazhong was the first to stand up and express his support. Although he didn't say anything about Ningcheng becoming a Tao Lord, he felt extremely dissatisfied in his heart. But now, he and Ningcheng were already standing on 2 different levels. Ningcheng had repaired the Grand Essence Realm. At this moment, he felt nothing but respect and worship for Ningcheng. How many people could do what Ningcheng did? How many people could stand at the same height as Ningcheng in just a few 100,000 years? Okay, I'll ask all the Tao friends who are proficient in array formations to come out with me to arrange the barrier protecting Grand Array. After Ning Cheng finished, he stepped out of the Grand Essence Realm. Shi Qianghua knew that Ning Cheng wanted to complete the Grand Essence Realm, so she didn't follow him. Moreover, she didn't have any cultivation now, so she didn't have the ability to follow them. Sister Qianghua, have you recovered? Lufei and Ruolan rushed over almost at the same time and supported Shi Qianghua. Sister Qianghua, Sister Lufei? At this time, Yanji walked in from the outside and spoke in a somewhat hesitant tone. Ji Luofei asked in doubt, Sister Ji, what's the matter? 9 revolving sacred Dao Pon's senior Shi Qianxi is here. She wants to see Sister Qianghua. Yanji hesitated for a moment, but still spoke up. As for the reason why Shi Qianghua had fallen to this point, Yanji was also very clear about it. Ning Ruolan's complexion turned ugly, however, she did not say anything. Ji Lufei quickly spoke up, then I will accompany Sister Qianghua to see Senior Master. Shi Qianghua showed a slight smile and spoke, no need, I will go by myself. Saying that, Shi Qianghua slowly walked out of the main hall. Just as Ning Cheng said, the past was already the past, and she had already experienced 10 reincarnations. She used her 10 lives to repay her mother's kindness. At this moment, she had no cultivation, and the 9 revolutions sacred Dao Pon no longer had anything to do with her. She was related to her husband and everything about her husband. Perhaps she only had one last life left. This was what she left behind to be with her husband, and she would never use it to prove the 9 revolutions of the divine path. Even after Ning Cheng repaired the Grand Essence Realm and perfected the Grand Essence Realm's heaven and earth laws, the Grand Essence Realm still rumbled. No one worried about this rumbling. As long as one was in the Grand Essence Realm, everyone understood that Dao Lord Ning was rearranging the Grand Essence Realm's boundary-protecting Grand Array. When Ning Cheng arranged the boundary-protecting Grand Array, it took him many years to perfect it. But at this time, Ning Cheng only needed a few people to help him. Then, he could control the entire Grand Essence Realm's boundary-protecting array foundation. Ning Cheng once again put in array flags, and all the people helping out could clearly feel the changes in the laws of space around them. These laws were extremely mysterious and no longer the same as before. One could be sure that if one wasn't proficient in this grand array and tried to attack it with brute force, no matter how powerful one's strength was, they wouldn't be able to break it open. The reason why Ning Cheng could arrange such a grand array was because of the tenacity of the chaotic inner realm. Given the tenacity of the chaotic inner realm, even if the 10 Dao Lords joined forces, they wouldn't be able to break it open. In the end, they had to rely on the good fortune indestructible axe. Ning Cheng believed that the good fortune indestructible axe wouldn't be bored enough to attack the Grand Essence Realm. When Ning Cheng took out a piece of material and refined the entire Grand Essence Realm's boundary-protecting array core, even Kong Zai and Xin Yun exclaimed, "Brother Ning, is this the heaven-opening mother iron?" Xin Yun couldn't believe what he saw and asked, "Yes, this is the heaven-opening mother iron." Ning Cheng nodded. He now used the heaven-opening mother iron to refine the entire Grand Essence Realm's boundary-protecting array core. Even if Qin Mutian came, he wouldn't be able to break the Grand Essence Realm's boundary-protecting Grand Array in a hurry. As long as the boundary-protecting Grand Array was bombarded, he could tear through all boundaries and return to the Grand Essence Realm in the shortest time possible. Kong Zai and Xin Yun sucked in a breath of cold air at the same time. Shen Yun even said, "Dao Lord Ning, you used the heaven-opening mother iron to refine the boundary-protecting array core." This, Ning Cheng naturally understood what Shen Yun meant. In Shen Yun's opinion, even the entire Grand Essence Realm couldn't compare to this piece of heaven-opening mother iron. Ning Cheng calmly said, "My sect, my friends, and my family are all in the Grand Essence Realm. For me, no material is more precious than the Grand Essence Realm." Chasing Bull had found this piece of heaven-opening mother iron. Ning Cheng used half of it to refine the Grand Essence Realm's boundary-protecting array core to achieve the same level of toughness as the chaotic inner realm. Although it wouldn't be as good as the chaotic inner realm, it would be more than enough for a realm. Xin Yun bowed and said, "Brother Ning, Xin Yun has learned a lot. I finally understand why the few of us could only look for opportunities on the periphery when the gate of good fortune first opened and couldn't participate in the real competition. It turns out that our scope is too small, and our Tao insights have too many restrictions. When Ning Cheng entered the heaven-opening Mother Iron's boundary protecting array core, the void around the entire Grand Essence realm made crackling sounds. A moment later, a mysterious aura surrounded the void around the Grand Essence realm. Everyone found that the moment Ning Cheng closed the Grand Essence realm's boundary protecting Grand Array, the entire Grand Essence realm was enveloped by a powerful law. Even with their spiritual consciousness, they couldn't penetrate it anymore. As the Grand Essence realm's boundary protecting Grand Array closed, Ning Cheng's voice resounded throughout the entire Grand Essence realm. The Grand Essence realm's laws have been restored, and the boundary protecting Grand Array has been perfected. From now on, you must use the Grand Essence Tao Quartz Identity Tao Talisman to enter and exit the Grand Essence realm. I wish you all the best in the Grand Essence realm in the future and reach a higher level. Many thanks, Tao Lord Ning. I will remember Tao Lord's teachings. Countless thanks came from all corners of the Grand Essence realm, and each person who thanked him spoke with sincerity. Ning Cheng had truly contributed to the Grand Essence realm without asking for anything in return. Unfortunately, Ning Cheng didn't cultivate the Karma Tao technique. Otherwise, he would have received countless karma and hope powers. Tao Lord Ning, when are we leaving? After seeing Ning Cheng's earth-shattering means, Chang Xiang's respect for Ning Cheng grew. At the same time, he also hoped that Ning Cheng could go to the witch race as soon as possible. It would be best if he could reach an agreement with the witch race and help them return to the center of the universe. Wait for me to explain some things. Although the Grand Essence realm had been repaired and the Grand Essence realm's protective Grand Array had been rearranged, Ning Cheng still wanted to take Luofei and the others with him. It's just that the Grand Essence realm had been perfected. It would be better for Yan Ji and Luofei to stay in the Grand Essence realm and cultivate rather than following him around. If their cultivations were lower, staying in the mysterious yellow bead would be better than cultivating in the Grand Essence realm. But whether it was Yan Ji, Luofei, or even Rulin, they had all stepped into the second step. Staying in the perfected Grand Essence realm to cultivate would be much better than cultivating in the mysterious yellow bead. Besides, the mysterious yellow bead didn't have all kinds of natural laws of the human Tao. As for his own realm, it hadn't been perfected yet. In fact, even if it was perfected, Ning Cheng didn't intend to let Luofei and the others enter it to cultivate. What's more, the Grand Essence realm had just been repaired, which made it the most suitable place for cultivation and enlightenment. Ning Cheng was sure that countless people would advance in the Grand Essence realm in the near future. At this time, Ning Cheng wanted to explain some family matters. Therefore, everyone consciously chose not to follow him. Luofei, Sister Ji. Before Ning Cheng could say anything, Ji Luofei took the initiative to speak up. Husband, go ahead. The Grand Essence realm has just been perfected. It's better for me to stay here. Brother, you don't know yet, but Sister Luofei is pregnant. Rulin spoke up before Ning Cheng could. Ning Cheng happily hugged Luofei. The higher one's cultivation, the more stagnant one's great Tao would be for a long time after becoming pregnant. After Luofei became pregnant, she didn't tell him because she was afraid that he would worry about her if he went out. Luofei, thank you for leaving me the inheritance. Although Luofei said that she wanted to have a child when she returned to the Grand Essence realm with him. But now that Ning Cheng faced it for real, he realized the difference between having an inheritance and struggling alone. Husband, you can go with Sister Qianghua. I'll stay and take care of Sister Lu. Although Luofei didn't need to be taken care of now, Yan Ji decided to stay. She didn't want to take advantage of the newly restored Grand Essence realm to reach a higher level. Instead, she wanted to leave all of Ning Cheng's time with Sister Qianghua. Sister Qianghua had lost her cultivation, so she naturally needed to take care of her. Shi Qianghua suddenly spoke up, Husband, why are you going out this time? Ning Cheng naturally didn't hide it. In addition to going to the witch clan to ask about the situation in the Western universe, I also want to see an old friend. In addition, I also want to help Big Brother Tsang Wei. Zhu Yinghua is a cunning woman, and I'm afraid that big brother Tsang Wei will suffer a loss in her hands. Ning Cheng's worries weren't without reason. Tsang Wei was seriously injured and chased by Zhu Yinghua. Although Tsang Wei was a shrewd person, Zhu Yinghua's schemes were too powerful. In case Tsang Wei suffered a loss in Zhu Yinghua's hands, it would be too late for him to kill Zhu Yinghua. Husband, whether it's the Western universe or that Zhu Yinghua, none of them are ordinary people. The Grand Essence Realm has just been restored and is the best place for cultivation. Now that I've lost my cultivation, it's best for me to stay here. I believe that husband will come back soon. After Shi Qianghua rejected Shi Qianxi's offer to return to the Nine Revolutions' sacred Dao Pond, everything in her heart was for Ning Cheng. Now that she had lost her cultivation, not only could she not help Ning Cheng, but she would also become a burden. Staying in the recently restored Grand Essence Realm to restore her cultivation was the best option. Didn't her husband say that if two people's feelings lasted for a long time, how could they stay together day and night? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.